Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Tuesday. It's April 18th. It's tax day. I'm glad you're spending it with me. If you are stress finishing your taxes, I get you. I get you. I'm an extension kind of a person. That's going to surprise you that I even file my taxes late. You're shocked right now. You're absolutely shocked. You're like, Emily, really? You file extensions? Mhm. Mhm. I sure do, because from January to April is just I need the April deadline to actually make me do it, so then it happens pretty easily, but that April deadline, I need that April deadline to happen. Today, we have quite a lot to talk about because quite a lot has happened. But though there are trials going on and other things, we are going to look at some civil lawsuits today that have fascinated me. First of all, we're going to be talking about the FTX celebrity suit and the influencer suit because some stuff happened over the weekend that I couldn't look away from. And so I was texting like my group chats. And then I know Rob covered it on Friday night. And I was like, I have to talk about this because I'm intrigued, I'm fascinated, I'm amused, I'm shocked a little. So we're going to be talking about, yes, BitBoy Crypto and Shaquille O'Neal. I know things you didn't think you were going to hear in the same sentence today, but those are the FTX influencer suits. And then we are going to talk about what is going on with Piper Rockelle. If you don't know who that is, don't worry about it. I will explain everything. But the media has been like, this is going to trial on Monday. Spoilers. The trial was continued until November a little bit ago, so it is not going to trial yesterday. But we do need to talk about it because it will be going to trial, and it has been all over legacy media talking about this story, and it brings up a lot of questions that we actually need to talk about as a community. And I think that this is as good a time as any to start talking about these and exploring what the boundaries of social media are, because on Thursday, I'm going to talk about a bit about whether TikTok is going to get banned or not, where TikTok is going to be banned and how it's going to be banned, and what do we do with teens on social, la, 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 la. We have lots to talk about. And all I really want to talk about, honestly, is like, when are we getting the reunion for Vanderpump Rules? Because I am now so freaking invested that my teenager is invested. He's like, they make interesting choices. I'm like, they do. They do. He's like, they hook up with each other's friends. I'm like, they do. And he's like, that seems like it's never going to end well. I'm like, mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm like, here's the thing, buddy. Sometimes when you drink, you don't make great choices. And he's like, ah, that okay. So we have very interesting conversations around Vanderpump Rules, but I am ready. I am ready for the rest of the season and the reunion, aren't you? Because I am proud to announce, Law Nerds, I am caught up. The amount of energy and effort it took to get caught up from when Scandival broke to starting the show to now was a lot. It was a lot, but here we are. So again, reality TV giving us teachable, talkable moments. They really are the after school specials of our time, aren't they? So the train has left the station on VPR for me. I am deeply invested. So with all of it, we are going to just get into it because, well, the FTX stuff I'm just amused and fascinated, and I hope that you're fascinated too. So with all of that, Kaylin, I see your I can't grab your chat because it went by there quickly, but I saw you say send it to Daryl. I'm very tempted to watch send it to Emily merch. I'm very like, bring the Emily, send it to Emily. Maybe I'll make send it to Emily merch that we can all wear to BravoCon together. Because it's hilarious. I've got my coffee. I've got my cursey words. You let me know what you're doing today. Did you all have a good weekend? Did you all have a good one? I did. All right. Let us get into it. We need to roll the intro. Did y'all go see Quick Bits yesterday? Tomorrow's podcast is going to slap. Like, I'm real excited for the week. I might be running a little bit behind. It's because I tried to work out this morning. I might be running a little bit behind, but I'm real excited for this week to kick off. We've got a lot for you this week, and I can't wait. Like, I'm actually so excited. All right, Let's get going. Hey there, I'm Emily D. Baker, the internet's go-to legal analyst, breaking down the legal side of the pop culture and entertainment stories we can't stop talking about. I'm a big fan of the cursey words. I've been a licensed attorney for over 17 years, but this is not legal advice. This is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not. Let's get into it. Y'all, before we get all the way into it today, I have to thank our stream sponsor, Gerard Cosmetics. You know how much I adore Jen Gerard and Gerard Cosmetics. You know that these lip glosses literally give me life. I have 2 of them on my desk today because these are the 2 colors I'm wearing, though I will promise you I have a drawer of a more fulsome range of colors. But these lip glosses are absolutely my favorite thing, and I have been wearing them. I don't know. Jen sent these to me to try back when I started covering the Tati Westbrook lawsuits. And I was like, oh, it's a gloss. I love a gloss more than a lipstick. It's a gloss that doesn't make my mouth sticky when I talk for 2 and 3 hours at a time. And when I go out, they have the light in them. This one I've used so much that the light I think I have killed because this is my ride or die. But the light in them is so bright that it lights up my lips as I am doing my lipstick. So then I will have people come up to me when I am out like, what is that? What is that? So today I am wearing Rose Hill with a little pink frosting over it later in stream. They do have a mirror on them for easy application. But right now, lip glosses are buy one, get one free. Buy one, get one free through, see the free and the through went together, through April 22nd. So right now, buy one, get one free, all the colors of the Color Your Smile gloss and the Supreme lip creams. Go do those. Look, if I need to try to get into the lip creams more. I'm such a 90s girl. I love like a good lip liner. Her lip liners are so soft and they stay. And I love a gloss. Like I love a gloss. And you can also use your code LawNerds for 30% off all items except for sale items. So if you haven't tried the Hair AF that myself and others love, the clean canvas, the pencils, any of those are all 30% off. $50 is your limit for free shipping. So if you order more than $50, you're getting free shipping in the US. And remember, this is a woman law nerd owned business made in the USA. 95% of products are made in the USA, 5% in Germany. They are cruelty free. So with that, go get you your buy one, get one free. Get you your pink frosting. Don't skip out. Don't skip out on your pink frosting. I know that they're in stock. So with all of that, go grab your lip glosses. Thank you so much. Yes, they do ship internationally. I see it in the chat. And Jen Gerard is often in the chat answering your questions too. So with all of that, thank you so much, Gerard Cosmetics, for sponsoring today's stream. Let us talk about FTX. Things that fascinate Emily. The FTX collapse is fascinating. And different pockets of the internet are covering this differently, right? If you go to like a CoffeeZilla, you're going to get the deep dive into the crypto of it all and how they were moving money from one company to another company and putting things in all of one big pot and the rest of it. From me, you are going to get coverage on what celebrities are being sued, what influencers are being sued. Did they disclose properly? Did they not? Is it Tom Brady's fault that you bought FTX after he was paid to promote them? How much research do we expect Shaquille O'Neal to do if he's promoting something that he's being paid to promote? All of those things. So that's really the angle of the FTX collapse that I am the most interested in. We covered this when the original lawsuit came down. Let me go pull up that original lawsuit so we can just talk about all of the people in the celebrity suit I have renamed them. There is the celebrity lawsuit and the influencer lawsuit. So I have named them differently so that we have them all. But I'm going to pull these, the celebrity suit and the influencer suit are filed by the same attorney. Why does this matter? Because we're going to be talking about the plaintiff's attorney in a little bit going forward. Wait, that's the influencer suit. Where is my celebrity lawsuit? Y'all, I'm sorry. There are yard things happening right outside my window. Even though those things used to happen on days I didn't stream, something changed. I don't know what changed. I didn't change. So there's that. All right, let's take a look real quick, just as a brief refresher, because I'm amused. This was filed November 15th, 2022. And let's see. This is Sam Bankman-Fried et al. Why don't you list out all the influencers on this one? I'm going to try to see if all the parties are listed somewhere. Let's Emily, just share your screen while we're scrolling. Absolutely. We'll do that. We'll do that. Screen sharing is the best. Wait, come back. Come back. We're professionals here. It was so funny. I was on a call yesterday using StreamYard, and Warren was trying to pull something up and show it to me. I'm like, see, it's not always easy. He's like, wait, I'm hitting the wrong thing. I'm like, right, if you haven't done it before, sometimes it's hard. It's harder than it looks. I'm like, streaming sometimes is harder than it looks. StreamYard, of course, makes it easy, but sometimes it's harder than it looks. So this is Edwin Garrison. That is the plaintiff for the class action versus Sam Bankman-Fried. This is the complaint that I loved, right? Because it's got so many screenshots of SBF's Twitter. Then there's things that have happened with Voyager and with FTX now. That's somebody running a company that's just dumb as fuck greedy. So what does Sam Bankman do? He just give me more money, give me more money, give me more money. So I'm going to borrow money, loan it to my affiliated company, and hope and pretend to myself that the FTT tokens that are in there on my balance sheet are going to sustain their value. Mark Cuban, November 12th, 2022. And then we've got Sam Bankman-Fried from November 10th, 2022. I'm sorry, that's the biggest thing. I fucked up and should have done better. I love the introduction of the tweets in here. So they are suing Sam Bankman-Fried, Tom Brady, Gisele Bündchen, Stephen Curry, the Golden State Warriors, Shaquille O'Neal, Udonis Haslem, I think I pronounced that badly, David Ortiz, William Trevor Lawrence, and then on and on and on, including Kevin O'Leary. So we've gone through this in past content. So because we've gone through this in past content, we're going to just catch up to what's been going on in this case. First of all, what we've seen in this case is what I think we're going to see in the influencer case, which is that all of the celebrities have filed a motion to dismiss. They're like, hey, this is not properly pled. Why do we have to deal with this case? This should be dismissed. Not all, a lot of them. Let's see. This is between Tom Brady, Gisele Bündchen, Stephen Curry, Lawrence David, the Golden State Warriors, Udonis Haslem, William Trevor Lawrence, I think it's Shoni Otani, Kevin O'Leary, David Ortiz, and Naomi Osaka, and Incorporated Memorandum of Law. So this is their motion to dismiss. Notice that Shaquille O'Neal is not on the motion to dismiss. It's so funny that he's not. Steph is easier. He's not a part of this motion. So they are moving to dismiss. We're just going to get to the introduction, and then we're going to move on to what's going on with Shaquille O'Neal. Plaintiffs, individuals who allegedly invested in certain products offered by a now defunct cryptocurrency exchange and investment platform FTX, seek to hold movements 7 current or former professional athletes, a professional basketball team, a supermodel, a television personality, and a comedian. It does sound like the beginning of a joke, doesn't it? Jointly and severally liable for billions of dollars in losses resulting from plaintiffs and the putative class's alleged deposits of funds into yield-bearing accounts offered by FTX. Plaintiffs allege that movements are somehow responsible for these losses, are indeed sellers of the yield-bearing accounts, which is an interesting definition of the word seller. Because if I tell you that I love this Gerard lip gloss, I am promoting the lip gloss. I am advertising the lip gloss. I am sharing the lip gloss, but it's still sold by Gerard Cosmetics. So this is extending what the word seller means. And that can go for anything. I can tell you how much I love an iPhone. I'm still not selling you an iPhone. I'm advertising an iPhone, maybe not paid. I'm sharing the love. But they're trying to extend sellers to advertisers. So with that, let us continue. So they are arguing that the advertisers are in fact sellers of the yield-bearing accounts because their involvement in FTX advertisements or sponsorships relating to the FTX exchange. Plaintiffs' allegations are meritless. Plaintiffs do not allege any movement ever mentioned yield-bearing accounts, let alone encouraged any plaintiff to deposit funds into them. Nor do they allege that any movement played any role in the subsequent alleged loss of funds from those accounts. Right, because they're not the sellers, they're not in charge. Plaintiffs simply were not injured by movements. As their complaint lays bare, FTX, not the movements, allegedly enticed plaintiffs into opening yield-bearing accounts, and it was FTX that allegedly operated the scheme that deprived the plaintiffs of the funds deposited into those yield-bearing accounts. Right, but plaintiffs don't want to sue FTX. You want to know why? Guess why, chat? Guess why plaintiffs don't want to sue FTX? RK, and I mentioned this is a class action lawsuit of people who lost money. That's right, chat. Follow the money. No money left. No money, no money. No money left. FTX is bankrupt, and there is not going to be any money. So they are going after, Tom Brady and Gisele Bundchen, because they probably have some money. We'll get to the influencers in a minute. Plaintiffs do not and cannot allege a causal connection between the FTX offered yield-bearing accounts that allegedly caused their injuries to any statements made by movements, some of whom are not even alleged to have made any statement at all. This is the same situation in the influencer suit. When we were looking at the influencers that were promoting FTX, some of the influencers in the influencer case, so celebrity case, influencer case, aren't alleged to have made any statements. So how are you suing them? But that hasn't gotten to the motion to dismiss stage yet. Indeed, plaintiffs do not allege facts establishing that any movement sold or personally participated in the sale of the yield-bearing accounts. The lack of causation is fatal to all plaintiffs' claims, requiring dismissal with prejudice. And this is a case that's kind of ripe for dismissal with prejudice, right? And we talked about that in the Meghan Markle, Samantha Markle case. If you can never fix this complaint to say this person said this, then there's no way you're ever going to survive it. So this is their motion to dismiss for everybody but Shaquille O'Neal, which is interesting to me. So the question now is, naturally, what's been going on with Shaquille O'Neal? Well, it seems that Shaquille O'Neal didn't particularly take kindly to being sued and didn't want to be served with this lawsuit. So this is a filing from April 7th, 2023. And we're going to take a look at what was filed by this plaintiff's attorney on April 7th, 2023, because Shaq was not going to be served this lawsuit. Hold on. Let me just spoiler alert real quick. Shaq was served yesterday. But I thought this was funny, so we're going to talk about it anyway. If Emily's amused, we're probably going to talk about it. Plaintiff's motion to serve defendant Shaquille O'Neal through approved alternate means. Do you want to know what some of those approved alternate means are? Take a guess. Defendant Shaquille O'Neal has actual knowledge of the allegations against him in this matter since the suit was first filed November 15th, 2022. While plaintiffs understand that actual knowledge is not alone sufficient for effecting service, the fact is important to give context to plaintiff's request to serve him now via alternative methods. Ooh, carrier pigeon. I like it. I like it. Skywriting. I like it. I like it. What else? What other alternate means? I sell iPhones by throwing them around my office, Frank. That's hilarious. Drone, yes. Smoke signals, yes. Public appearances, maybe. You can publish it in a newspaper. You can. Ninjas, they should have tried ninjas. The Pony Express posted on a basketball and dunked into his mailbox. I appreciate that one. I like that you guys have a lot of love for carrier pigeons, Morse code. Send it via ghosts. I like that. Food call. They should have tried to serve it via TikTok Psychic. Damn it. They should have. They should have. Jen. Yes, they want to serve it by DM. They want to serve it by DM. Mhm. They wanna serve it via social media. They wanna go beyond email and serve it via social media. Oh, they should have served it via Dangerfloof. Flash mob's a good one too. Chat, I love your suggestions. And, for all of you saying they should send it to Daryl, they should have just sent it to Daryl. They should have just sent it to Daryl. They should have. Ooh, I like fortune cookie service as well, stone tablets. Pizza delivery was a very popular one here. Um, so I like that. I like that a lot. You guys have great ideas. Uber Eats would have worked. I like it. I like it. Um, so while plaintiffs understand that actual knowledge is not sufficient, they want to serve via alternate methods. Mr. O'Neill's conduct over the last 5 months in evading service in this action is unprecedented and frankly shocking. This is before this attorney met BitBoy Crypto, so that's where we're going next. Same attorney. Frankly shocking based upon the extent of his public appearances, persona, and presence. Mr. O'Neill is the sole remaining defendant in this matter who has still not been served, despite plaintiffs' dozens of attempts in multiple states and countries to either effect service on him or to have him or a designated agent accept service of process. They tried to serve his attorneys as well. Just you know what? I kind of understand where he's at. He's like, I didn't do anything. What are you doing? What are you doing? Just last week, after the 8th most recent attempt, they tried 8 times at O'Neill's Texas resident. Plaintiff's process server in Texas received a threatening text message stating, Shaq lives in the Bahamas, you stupid fuck. Give Beth Shaw my regards. I don't know who Beth Shaw is. And this is the first time I've seen this attorney actually use the word fuck. Normally he kind of moderates it a little bit. So it's pretty funny that he just quoted it directly. Shaq lives in the Bahamas, you stupid fuck. Well, maybe Sam Bankman-Fried's in jail. I was going to say Sam Bankman-Fried could serve him in the Bahamas. Oh, Beth Shaw is the wife of our retained process server. Enough is enough. Wow. How would they know who the wife of the retained process server is? That's kind of strange. Plaintiffs respectfully suggest that it is finally time to move this massive class action case along and therefore request the court approve the suggested alternate service of process on O'Neill through, among other methods, direct messages to his verified social media accounts as set forth below. Generally, I come in here and say sending someone a cease and desist via DM is not sufficient, but they actually went to the court to ask to serve someone via DM. I wish Shaq, could somebody send Shaq a send it to Daryl shirt? Because he evaded service for 9 months. No, 5 months. So I see you in the chat saying it's not uncommon to have a process server. Not uncommon to have a process server. It's uncommon for somebody to text the process server back and say, give my regards to your wife. That feels it feels like a lot. Gracefully insane said send it back, does not want. Exactly. That's what you're supposed to do. Apparently, I'm being facetious. That's a reference back to the TikTok psychic case. So they want to send it through direct message to verified social media. News of this lawsuit, filed closely on the heels of the collapse of FTX, is the largest financial filed closely on the heels of the collapse of FTX, the largest financial debacle in history, has been disseminated through nearly every conceivable news source across almost every country, be it on television, the internet, we're the internet, and otherwise. Dozens of articles published globally and nationally specifically call out defendant O'Neill. Footnote 1. CEG, Shaq, Naomi Osaka, Steph Curry named as defendants in class actions lawsuit against embattled crypto company FTX, published November 17th, and then other articles published as well. Defendant O'Neill, as set forth below, publicly acknowledged his notice of this suit shortly after it was filed. Plaintiffs respectfully requested under these specific verified circumstances, the court grant this motion to effect service on Shaquille O'Neal through various electronic means that are reasonably calculated to provide O'Neal with actual notice of the lawsuit and the allegations against him, namely through his social media accounts, his attorney's emails, and through publication on a dedicated webpage located at, wait, service by publication. So they put it on their website. They sent it to the website. Summons and complaint. Notice to defendant. There we go. So they have now put them on the website. Do you guys all want to be noticed? Here, I'm going to give this to our mods so we can put it in the chat. And if y'all want to download the complaint for yourself, the amended complaint is there, the summons, the pretrial order, the order referring to pretrial discovery matters, the paperless order on motion for coordinated responses. If you guys want your own, there you go. I sent it to the mods so they can send it to you. This is hilarious. So all of you are like, that works. It is notice by publication. You're allowed to do notice by publication, but they have to ask the court in this case to do that. That's why they're asking the court, but it's published. I mean, it's not like you can't find it. All right, let's go back to this. Also, as I was coming on, B2, thank you for gifting 20 memberships. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Nikki, I think this is the problem in this case, is that there are not any dot to dots. And so maybe people just don't want to accept service because there's no art to be made. All right, let us continue. As explained below, shortly before filing this motion, plaintiffs served O'Neal with the above link via direct message from the Moskowitz law firm's Twitter account to one of O'Neal's verified Twitter accounts. He has multiple Twitter accounts? At DJ Diesel 23. Wait, oh no, footnotes 2 and 3. O'Neal made history back in 2008 as the first ever verified Twitter user. I didn't know that. Did y'all know that? With his @Shaq account. And it's common knowledge that he manages his own Twitter and social media accounts as a means of interacting directly with his fan base. And then there's an article posted about that. Well, it also appears O'Neal disabled direct messages on his @Shaq Twitter account. The service website link was direct messaged to his @DJ Diesel Twitter account and both his @Shaq and @DJ Diesel Instagram accounts. Also, O'Neal moonlights as DJ Diesel, producing electronic music and DJing at festivals around the country. Wait, what? Wait. Is Shaquille O'Neal like playing Coachella? What is happening? When did Shaquille O'Neal start DJing? I have been clearly out of this pop culture sports loop. I didn't know that. Chad, is he a better DJ than DJ James Kennedy? I need to know. I have so many questions about this. You can see my brain wanting to run down a rabbit hole, and I'm trying to rein it back in. Oh my God, I love this so much. So DJ Diesel also has a Twitter account. Fantastic. They also sent it via direct message from the Moskowitz law firm's Instagram account to O'Neal's verified Instagram account @Shaq and @DJ Diesel. And 3 via email to Shaq's prior and current counsel and other matters. Plaintiff respectfully requests, pursuant to the federal rules and the specific law of the state of Texas where O'Neal resides, that the court enter an order authorizing service of process on O'Neal and deeming him served as of April 6th, when the plaintiff's counsel sent these materials directly. So they want him deemed served, even though it hasn't been handed to him at that point. He has since been served. Shaq has demonstrably had actual notice of this lawsuit. CNBC published on December 15th an article containing Shaq's comments during an interview with CNBC Make It that week regarding the allegations in the suit, which also confirmed that his public FTX statement, namely that he was all in, are you, on FTX, for which he was paid likely millions of dollars to FTX, was simply false. Footnote 4. Shaq distances himself from crypto and FTX collapse. I was just a paid spokesperson, dated December 15th, published, and then it has the link. Let's see. A lot of people think I'm involved, but I was just a paid spokesperson for a commercial. And this is the argument that they're going to continue to have. Like, at what point does Shaq being paid to promote something bear legal responsibility if that thing collapses? I mean, you could bear legal responsibility if you advertise it improperly, right? So you could bear legal responsibility for not disclosing what you were paid if you're required to, for not disclosing it's a paid advertisement if you're required to. There's a lot of ways you can be held responsible if you advertise improperly. We just saw that with Kim Kardashian for not disclosing a paid partnership or a paid sponsorship that she was then required to pay $1 million fine to the FTC. So you can be held for those kinds of false advertising and those improper advertising. But if you advertise a product that's a product and then later on that company collapses, I don't see a theory where legal liability can then extend to the person who was paid outside of the things we talked about with the improper or any potential improper advertisement. Let's see. Today, O'Neill cites his friendship with Curry as the reason he consented to appear in the ad. A spokesperson for Curry declined to comment. In the ad, O'Neill told viewers that he checked his FTX account daily, but when asked now if he's bullish on crypto, he offers a simple response: no. People know I'm very, very honest, O'Neill says. I have nothing to hide. If I was heavily involved, I would be at the forefront saying, hey, but I was just a paid spokesperson. It's unclear how much money O'Neill made from his FTX endorsement deal. Despite O'Neill's actual knowledge of this action for at least 4 months and his claim that he has nothing to hide, to date he has not allowed himself to be served with process. He's like, come get me. Shaquille O'Neal owns and has owned a large number of homes across the country, from Florida to Georgia, Texas, Nevada, California, and sometimes resides in the Bahamas. Plaintiff's counsel's investigation showed, however, that while defendant O'Neill is regularly on the move between these locations, making personal service a process more difficult than the average American, he is likely spending much of his time in Texas based on reports that he is expanding his Big Chicken franchise to Texas. He has a chicken restaurant? The things I didn't know about Shaquille O'Neal. Oh, what? As a result, he bought a house there to help facilitate the move. Footnote 6. Shaquille O'Neal has a new... I need to look at this article now. I'm curious. Shaquille O'Neal has a new $1.22 million home in North Texas amid Big Chicken restaurant expansion plans. I mean, I guess you want to be comfortable. I'm so fascinated by the range of products Shaquille O'Neal's involved in. He owns like 25 Papa John's. I knew about the Papa John's. I kind of love everything about this. Look how much we've learned from this service of process motion. Facts. I love it. I love when we learn new things. We've learned so much already today. The process, I need to find Big Chicken and the Grux King. I need to find me some Big Chicken. I'm now becoming a Shaq fan. I'm loving all of this. Except for spilling water on myself. I don't love that. I don't know if Magic Johnson also owns Papa John's, but somebody owns Fat Burger. I don't remember which athlete owns Fat Burger, but somebody bought Fat Burger. It might have been Magic Johnson. But I love that he's like, he's got the DJing gig going on. He's got food going on. They have one in Vegas. Buttercup, thank you for that information. I'm going to have to find me a Big Chicken when I am in Vegas, because I'll be in Vegas in November. All right. The process servers made several attempts at the most recent last known address listed for O'Neill in Texas after learning that defendant sold his former Sugarland residence, apparently to his ex-wife. Our process server has also been trying to track O'Neill based upon various posts on social media. Yep. Plaintiff's counsel investigation showed that defendant O'Neill recently purchased another home in Texas, but the address was not listed and did not show up in the process server's skip trace. I'm not surprised by that. After combing through public records and reports for the purchase of a new home, wait, this I hope doesn't have the address in it. Let's see. All of which do not list the property address because O'Neill did not purchase the home as an individual, and two of the reports only stated the home was in location in Texas. Plaintiff's counsel finally located an article that gave away the full address, and then they list the full address, and then they list the article that showed the address. But it took them quite a bit of work to find it, so I'm just going to keep this off the screen. Since obtaining the address, the process server has made numerous attempts at effecting service at that address, including through personal service through FedEx. At the same time, plaintiff's counsel worked to determine whether there are attorneys who represent O'Neill, and then they went through trying to find attorneys that represent O'Neill, like send it to Daryl, and who has represented him in the past in other events. They did quite a lot of work to try to find him. Let's see. Is there anything else? Oh, because of the text with the expletives and the wife's name in it, the process server no longer feels comfortable trying to serve process, so they want to serve again during direct message, and then they list the accounts. I'm not going to go through the last 15 16 pages. This is an 81 page motion, so we're not going to go through all of the rest of it, but let's see. I want to see if we know how Shaq got served real quick, because that was reported by Law 360. So let's see what we have from Law 360. This was from yesterday evening, April 17th at 5:58 p.m. Eastern. Shaq served an FTX Investor Suit after long quote-unquote sideshow. Shaquille O'Neal has been served with a lawsuit in which he is among several famous athletes and celebrities accused of helping defraud investors in the bankrupt cryptocurrency exchange FTX, following multiple attempts by plaintiffs to track him down. The Basketball Hall of Famer was served Sunday outside his Atlanta home. Adam Motzkowitz, an attorney for the lead plaintiffs in the class action, confirmed to Law 360 Monday. The U.S. District Judge had set Monday as a deadline for the plaintiffs to serve all the defendants or show cause about those who had not been served. So he was served outside of his house. Let's see. The good news is his home video cameras recorded our service, and we made it very clear that he is not to destroy or erase any of these security tapes because they must be preserved for our lawsuit. Judge Moore gave us a deadline of tomorrow to personally serve Mr. O'Neill, who has been hiding and driving away from our process servers for the past 3 months. And we took Judge Moore's instructions very seriously and are glad to finally end this silly sideshow, he said. Mr. O'Neill will now be required to appear in federal court and explain to his millions of followers his FTX I'm all in false advertising campaign. So that brings us to others who have been served in the FTX lawsuit and whether we are now starting to get into the realm of exploring the fuck around and find out principle. And with that, we need to talk a little bit about BitBoy Crypto because I am riveted. Riveted. Yeah, the chat's like, so they barely managed to serve him. Yep. I'm riveted by this. Let's talk real quick about the influencer side of this because I covered the motion where there were calls and threatening emails and all the rest of the circus sideshow that was going on with BitBoy Crypto. BitBoy Crypto has been sued by the same attorney in a similar type of lawsuit with a lot of other influencers, including Graham Stephan, and BitBoy Crypto and Kevin Paffrath and others like YouTubers, Twitter personalities. So then we covered the lawsuit. Then I covered the request for a status conference. In the request for status conference, the attorneys went through the fact that after BitBoy Crypto was served, that there were harassing phone calls, and then there was this email that I'm going to just cover real quickly before we move on to what's going on next. So this is an email from BitBoy Crypto to the plaintiff's attorney, same plaintiff's attorney that was just trying to serve Shaquille O'Neal. Adam, this is the email. Adam, hey motherfucker, guess you do know who I am, bitch. You are such an unbelievably dumb motherfucker that you are leading a lawsuit against me when I never even promoted FTX. Expect a countersuit, bitch. Hey, Steven, you didn't tell me that your boy here is suing me. He's a toxic ambulance chasing cancer. Thank you, Ben Armstrong. So after that email from BitBoy Crypto, the plaintiff's counsel asked the court to set a status conference to discuss the harassment of plaintiff's counsel. Here's the thing. The lawsuit against BitBoy Crypto isn't good. It's not a strong lawsuit. So BitBoy Crypto was served. Let's see what day he was served on. He was served. Let's see. I'm trying to find the date of service on the proof of service. He was served on March 22nd, 2023. So he was served on March 22nd, and this. Oh, that's interesting. So he was served March 22nd at a location in Georgia. But this notice for status conference is from March 20th. So all of this wild and out was happening before he was even served. So all of this happened before he was even served with this lawsuit. But the complaint against BitBoy is almost silent as to him. And yes, being sued sucks. And yes, it is ridiculously expensive to have to fight a lawsuit that you think is frivolous, and then you can try to fight for your attorney's fees back. But I think this case had room for a solid motion to dismiss because it doesn't really explain much about what BitBoy Crypto did. So I understand why he's mad. But the hey motherfucker email to the lawyer is maybe not the way to resolve this at all. So after the hey motherfucker email, the court orders a status conference. The federal judge is not thrilled by what's going on. So let's take a look at this real quick. Because, United States District Court, Southern District of Florida. This is a court order from the judge. The cause is before the court on plaintiff's request for a status conference to bring awareness of defendant Armstrong's harassment towards plaintiff's counsel. Ben Armstrong is BitBoy Crypto's government name. Legal name, given name, non-internet name. It's not his handle, it's actual name. The matter was referred to the undersigned by the Honorable Cecilia Altoniga, Chief United States District Judge, to take all necessary and proper action required by law. The court has considered plaintiff's request and notice and the pertinent portions of the record is otherwise fully advised in the premises. On March 21st, 2023, this court directed plaintiff's counsel to notify the court when defendant Armstrong had been served with process and with the request. The record and plaintiff's notice reflect that defendant was served with process and with the request on April 5th. That's for this motion. That's not served with process of the lawsuit. That's for service of the status conference request. So he's been served twice. Accordingly, it is hereby ordered and adjudged that counsel for plaintiff and defendant Ben Armstrong, footnote 1, and Mr. Armstrong himself shall appear on April 20th, 2023 at 10 a.m. before the undersigned at the courthouse in Miami, Florida, for a status conference to address the matters alleged in plaintiff's request and notice. Counsel for all other defendants are not required but may attend prior to your courthouse visit. Please review rules of courthouse. Ordered that by April 14th, 2023, plaintiff's counsel shall email a copy of this order to defendant Ben Armstrong at his email address and mail a copy of this order to defendant Ben Armstrong. Footnote 1, let's read it. The court notes that no counsel has entered an appearance on behalf of Mr. Armstrong. He's currently representing himself then. In the event no counsel has entered an appearance on behalf of Mr. Armstrong by the time of the hearing, Mr. Armstrong shall nonetheless appear pro se. Shall appear pro se. So BitBoy Crypto is expected to be in federal court on Thursday, either with an attorney or without, but either way. If you follow me on Twitter, you will see that my fascination with this didn't slow down there, because BitBoy Crypto then took to Twitter that evening, not very long after I tweeted. I don't think the two are connected. I think it's just that's when news was breaking. Let me pull up his Twitter directly. No, you know what? Let me pull up my Twitter. If we're gonna go to anyone's Twitter, let's go to my Twitter and just pull it up from there. So I said, and attached a bit of the order, BitBoy Crypto is getting hauled into court over threats made to plaintiffs' counsel. I covered the underlying lawsuit, and there wasn't much of a case made to connect BitBoy Crypto to it, but he threatened the attorney who asked for a status conference, which the judge granted. And then I included the hey motherfucker, and then just commented that federal court is not the place to play stupid games. And then a lot of you commented that he started tweeting, not just here, but also on my thread on the community tab here on YouTube. So then I went over to his Twitter. Ben Armstrong, I will continue to relentlessly bully people that prey on the innocent and the weak. Adam Moskowitz, the plaintiff's attorney, does not get to inconvenience me. So no, Adam, I will not be showing up to court Thursday. Sponsored by stake.com. The tweet is sponsored. The tweet is sponsored. The tweet is sponsored, and then it attaches an article. Judge orders YouTuber BitBoy Crypto to appear and address allegations. He clearly is aware of it. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. Because y'all are the best. He certainly is making choices. And this is you do understand this is a civil case, right? It's not criminal. I know legalese is hard, bro. So I went back to this tweet to find what he was referring to. And what he is referring to here is somebody who was talking about bench warrants being issued from the court. His response to kind of a comment that was like, let the warrants fly, was, you do understand this is a civil case, right? It's not criminal. I know legalese is hard, bro. The thing that seems to be missing here, and I'm not here to give legal advice. We need to see it all in its glory. Hold on. We need to see the response. What day was that from? He tweets so much, it is hard to it is sometimes hard to scroll back and find them, because there was a substantial amount of tweets. Here we go. From April 13th. So I'm just this person, Maximus, right on, let the bench warrants fly. That was the, you do understand this is a civil case, right? It's not criminal. I know legalese is hard, bro. I'm sorry. When the judge says you shall appear in court, and then you don't appear in court, they can still find you in contempt of a court order. So this is going to be a very interesting thing to see what happens on Thursday. I'm fascinated, because legalese is hard, bro. And hiring lawyers seems to be in everyone's best interest here. And we know Ben Armstrong has lawyers. Why? Because he sued a Tuesday. And I covered that. I mean, he dropped it within like a week, but he had someone file a lawsuit. So he's not going to let the attorney, Adam Moskowitz, inconvenience him. It'll be very interesting to see what the federal judge decides. I am so tempted. But I have so much going on with the end of the school year and tests for my kids. But if I lived in Miami, So this is going to be a very interesting thing to see. So he is ordered to appear in court on April 20th at 10 a.m. I'm going to be very interested to see what happens next. Oh, Peter is down there. I should ask Peter. So I might have to do Legalese as hard bro merch. That would be funny. Send it to Emily. Is that around the corner from Peter? I don't know. I'll ask him. So that's happening on Thursday. We'll see where this goes. But he's been very, very clear in his intention not to appear. So plaintiff's counsel is just going to bring in these tweets and talk about them. That's what's going to happen. All right. With that, that was not really a quick bits. That was kind of a it's kind of a two-topic day. But I thought it was funny that Shaq was avoiding service for like 5 months because Shaq's like, this lawsuit is stupid. And then we've got BitBoy Crypto, who wasn't avoiding service, but might be trying to avoid going to court. It's not gonna go well. And the only reason I want to be there is because I'm very curious about what a federal judge's face looks like when on a civil case, a pro per defendant just ignores a court order. Like I cannot visualize what that face looks like. But I want to know. All right, we've had enough giggles for the day. I'm sorry to inform you that this is the end of the fun part of the show. Now we get into the dark side of the internet. I apologize in advance. Let's contact Viva. Peter is in Tampa. I don't know the geography of Florida, so I appreciate that, Victor. Thank you. I will. All right, I am done with my water. I've spilled it on my face twice. You drink that from the top, sweetheart. I just don't know what's happening. All right, I'm grabbing my coffee. We're all going to take a minute and we're going to shift topics. So let us shift topics. Let's take a deep breath because we are going to jump in really to the dark side of the internet, and the dark side of influencers and parents. And oh gosh, this is a rough one, but I think it's a really valid and needed conversation. So Leonard, thank you for your grace. Thank you for your ability to discuss. And we're gonna jump into it. I am not going to get into all of the details of this lawsuit because they make me profoundly sad. So let me swoop and explain why I'm covering this, what I want to talk about in this context, and then where we go from here. So we're going to be talking about YouTuber, kidfluencer Piper Rockelle's mother and boyfriend and company being sued for over $22 million. Piper Rockelle seems to me, and I had never heard of this YouTuber. They have over 10 million subs, a large YouTube channel by any means. I had never heard of this particular YouTuber. So when we talk about this, I'm going to not get into all of the details of this lawsuit because we don't need every single detail because some of them are pretty rough. But we are going to talk about the larger topic here. And I know that we can do that with compassion. So we're going to do that. With all of that, Piper Rockelle has 10 million subscribers here on YouTube. And her mother, boyfriend, company are being sued for 22 million by 11 kids that were part of the squad. It seems to me that Piper Rockelle, whoever the adults behind Piper Rockelle or Piper Rockelle herself, modeled her channel on the Vlog Squad and like Team 10. So it seems like the content is a mashup of the Vlog Squad and Team 10, but they are minors. So if you look at like David Dobrik style content or Paul Brother style content, and then set it with teens, you can see where the problem lies. I feel, this is my personal opinion, that the content is very sexualized, um, that they are promoting relationships between members of the squad to like have intrigue on the internet. So for all of you that are like, I have never heard of this person, it's because you are adults. David Dobrik's content's probably not your content either. But there are these whole sides of the internet where we don't know what's going on. Lucinda S in the chat asked, is this the one that Pink spoke out about? Yes, and we're going to get to that in a minute. So Miguelina, I unpinned that. I don't need it pinned. Yes, this is the one that Pink spoke out about. So it is a younger audience, and she is young. I believe she's 15 now, 14, 15, but it is very adult content. So that is one of the things, Miguelina, it's just the lawsuit for now. This is one of the things that we need to talk about on the internet. Sorry, I saw all the mods giving warnings at once, and I was like, too many warnings. So I was trying to let Miguelina know it was too many warnings. But yes, Pink has talked about it, and I'm not going to be getting into, again, the most triggering allegations in this. We're just going to talk about, well, parental exploitation can be triggering, but we're going to talk about it because this is not something that's unique to YouTube. This is something that also extends on, in Hollywood, in the music industry, and we have seen it. And I feel a little bit like the conversation here is, have we learned nothing? Because we have seen child actors and musicians talk about being hypersexualized at a young age and how damaging it was to them. And now we're seeing this play out again with kidfluencers, TikTokers and YouTubers. And we're just watching it all repeat itself. And we've just seen, Brooke Shields come out with Pretty Baby. We've seen Jeanette McCurdy's book about the way that people have been hypersexualized as kids. And now we're seeing it on the platform. When I was asking my teen if he had heard of this person, he was like, no, this is not his side of the internet. But with 10 million subs, it is some side of the internet. Hold on, but the content is very, David Dobrik, Jake Paul kind of content. Pranks. So let's pull this up real quick. That's not helpful. Let's just do it this way. We got in a fight over my ex-boyfriend 3 days ago. This is the thumbnail chosen. Why we aren't friends anymore. Last to get a prom date. Last to get grounded. We lived like Barbie for a day. This is the type of content that we're looking at. There's also music content. And then there's also a gaming channel. And so when I'm looking at a teen who is 14 or 15 years old promoting a gaming channel in a bra, then I start to be like, what the fuck is happening here? We have questions. And then I look at the content and I'm like, oh, okay. So with all of that, I have questions and concerns with all of it. And there are things that are just like, what are we doing? There is a thumbnail in here with there was another, we got in a fight over somebody and then everybody had fake black eyes. I'm like, oh gosh. And then there was, last to stop kissing, their boyfriend wins $10,000. So this is the type of content that we're getting, pranks, jokes. I hadn't even seen the joke that she's had a positive pregnancy test. I missed that was happening over here at 13, 14 years old. So this is the content. YouTube has since demonetized this channel. So this channel has been demonetized from YouTube after this lawsuit was filed about a year ago. So with all of that, I don't know if she is 14 or 15 at this point sitting here today. Hold on. Let's just go to the internet. Not that those things are always correct, but she is young, 15. So her birthday's in August. So when this was filed, she was 14. She is now 15. Young. Chris asks, how is it ever monetized? I don't know. So the conversation we are going to have about the lawsuit is really, what do you do to protect children when the person being accused of exploiting children is their parent? How do you handle that? Whose responsibility is it to handle that? Who is watching the content? Who is like, hey, this is great? Who is watching the videos, and what message is it sending to them? And where are the boundaries of all of this? And that is the conversation that we are going to have today. Where are the boundaries of all of this? So that's what it is. It's also concerns about, are these kids just filming content and not going to school? They're not going to school. So then are they doing the things that if you were on a movie set, you would have to do? If you're on a movie set, you have to do a certain amount of hours of schooling. But if you go back to my interview with Scott White on the channel from a while back, a year plus back, we were talking about the fact that teens in Hollywood were prompted to become emancipated minors so they didn't have to go to school. So even in Hollywood, this is not just a YouTube problem. Even in Hollywood, teens are pushed to be, well, if you're emancipated, you don't have to do the schooling hours on the film set, and that's really better for everyone. So if you want to kind of have these roles and work in this industry, like, let's do this. It's my understanding from all of the reporting and the rabbit hole I've read on this, that this creator started at like 9 and was heavily influenced by toddlers and tiaras, and was doing the pageant circuit and then went here. The conversation around things like the pageant circuit, dance moms, and all that kind of stuff is a whole nother conversation. I am aware that that conversation exists and need to be had, but I can't have all the conversations at once. So I understand that when we're talking about these things being a problem, that this is a bigger problem, not just a YouTube problem. This is a sexualizing of youth problem. And that is across, all kinds of different areas of the world. So with all of that, the content feels like they're trying to make like really hypersexualized Disney type content, but also with a, heavily kissing boyfriends and all the boyfriend things. The boyfriend content, it looks like, has been going on the channel since she was maybe 10. I also have to wonder, before we get into this lawsuit, I also very much have to wonder what that does to all the kids' involved perceptions of the world when every interaction they have is content. Because we saw this fallout with the Vlog Squad. And we saw the Vlog Squad and those who had left the Vlog Squad talking about the difficulty of understanding whether relationships were transactional or real, whether it was for content or real. And I have to wonder if these kids are also stuck in the world of, are we really friends, or do we just make content? Are you really mad at me or happy with me or dating me, or are we just making content? Because even when you're looking at 20-year-olds in something like the Vlog Squad, they have a very difficult time parsing it. And it caused quite a lot of mental health struggles for people who had been involved in the Vlog Squad. Because what's real? And it struck me because I did watch Tom Sandoval's interview with Howie Mandel. He was talking about his, and part of this was in the show Vanderpump Rules as well, talking about his relationship with Tom Schwartz as a brand, and talking about his relationship with Ariana as a brand. So when is it real And when is it content? And what do you do if one person is treating it as just content? How do you ever know what's real? And what does that do to your perception of the world and other people as you grow up? How do you parse what's real and what's content when your life is the content? And we saw other creators who made their life the content struggle with that. We saw Emma Chamberlain struggle with that and be like, when my life is the content, what do you do? And then you see this push that we saw go very badly with like Logan Paul, this push to what's next, make the content bigger. And we're even seeing this with like Mr. Beast, right? Okay, what's next? Make it bigger. It's not just enough to count, fill my friend's mom's pool with Orbeez. Now it's building an entire set, recreating Squid Games. How do you continue to make it bigger and bigger and bigger? And when it's content around your life, it can lead to very bad decisions when you're trying to make it bigger and bigger and bigger. But when your whole life is content, then what is actually real? And are all the decisions made for content? I think this is going to be it's not just a growing problem, because we see this in Hollywood too, but in Hollywood, you generally get a writer's room that is discussing where the boundaries are. There are some checks and balances. They don't always work. CEG, Jeanette McCurdy's book, and the entire Me Too movement, those checks and balances don't always work. There are not checks and balances when it comes to content creation. And should the checks and balances from Hollywood be the checks and balances for content creation? Should they not? Lindsay D asked, how is it legal for her not to be in school? They probably said that they're homeschooling. But the lawsuit alleges that they're not actually doing that. So let's get into what her mother is being sued for. But this is when I'm thinking about all of this, these are the things I'm wondering. What are the long-term impacts? I don't think they're going to be different than what we saw for child stars. I think the long-term impacts are just as bad. And we've seen child stars again and again say this was bad, and people just keep saying, but fame good. At what cost, though? Wedge, I love the screen name. I'm going to get to that as we get through this lawsuit. But we're going to look at some of this lawsuit. I'm going to sanitize some of the allegations because there are allegations here. This lawsuit is suing for misappropriation of name and likeness, violation of common law right of privacy, unjust enrichment, intentional interference with contractual relations, intentional interference with prospective economic advantage, civil conspiracy, sexual battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and then violation of California Business and Professions Code. So when it comes to some of the sexual battery, I am going to sanitize a little bit of it just because it's real fucking dark. And we're going to go through it. The media has said that this was starting trial Monday, yesterday. It's not. It's going to start in November. There's been a bunch of motions that have just happened with regard to discovery. So discovery is not done yet on this. And with all of that, we are going to jump into this complaint. You will recognize that this complaint is from the Dillon Law Group. Now, these are from Hamit Dillon and Matthew Hoseley, but you know who else is represented by the Dillon Law Group? Well, Nate the lawyer, for one, and Ariadna Jacob in her lawsuit, I believe, is also represented by the Dillon Law Group. I know y'all are asking who's suing. We're going to get into that. So let us get into this. So this lawsuit is interesting in that it's being brought by minors represented by guardians ad litem, and it's being brought by 11 other kids who were in the squad. It is a $22 million lawsuit. So, attorneys for plaintiffs, and these are the guardian ad litems are named, and the minors are listed by first name. So, Sawyer, Donald, Aiden, Connor, Hayden, Walker, Sophia, Corrine, Simone, Claire, and Reese. So Claire and Reese are sisters. Claire and Reese are cousins of of the influencer here, Piper Rockelle. So this is by 11 members of the squad who have left against Tiffany Raquel Smith, which is the YouTuber's mother, her boyfriend, and then the company. Lucinda S., where were the Guardians when they were making videos? Apparently not allowed to be on set, which is what is alleged here. I also just want to remind everyone, these are allegations. They have been denied. This is going to be going to trial. So, let us continue. Are Guardian ad litems in California lawyers? I don't know. I don't know if they are. I don't believe they have to be lawyers. I think you can there's a whole process to become a Guardian ad litem. I don't think you have to be a lawyer to become a Guardian ad litem in California, but it also might depend on circumstance. But it is someone who is appointed that is not the parent to look out for the legal best interest of the child. So, let us continue. The plaintiffs are all represented by Guardians ad litem, and here is the introduction. This matter involves a group of extremely bright, charismatic, and talented preteens and teenagers who sought to share their collective passions and pursuits of various life interests and activities with the social media community on YouTube and other platforms. In doing so, plaintiffs collaborated at various times with YouTube celebrity Piper Rockelle Smith as members of Piper's self-named squad, CEG Team 10 Vlog Squad. I think that's the model here, to produce widely viewed and highly lucrative content for Piper's YouTube channel. Plaintiffs' collective efforts, and after this lawsuit was filed, by the way, this lawsuit was filed on January 12th, 2022. After this lawsuit was filed is when it was brought to YouTube's attention and this channel was demonetized. Sorry, my brain stopped for a second. Plaintiffs' collective efforts and contributions to Piper's YouTube channel as members of the squad were almost exclusively to the benefit of defendants, while to the physical, emotional, and financial detriment of plaintiffs. Over the span of several years, from 2017 to 2020, plaintiffs collectively participated in creating content and being cast in hundreds of videos for Piper's YouTube channel, all while suffering from emotional, verbal, physical, and at times sexual abuse by Piper's mother and producer, defendant Smith. Plaintiffs were never compensated by defendants, despite the fact that their contributions, including use of their names, images, and likenesses on Piper's YouTube channel, generated significant revenue for defendants, often times upwards of several $100,000 per month. One of the months they cite was over $600,000 a month. So when they say 700 or several $100,000 a month, they're talking $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a month before it was demonetized. So, and not getting paid. This is something that we've seen the Vlog Squad talk about as well, that they were all in David Dobrik's videos, but they weren't getting paid to be in those videos. There's a lot of parallels here. And when we talk about the problems with the Vlog Squad back when Jeff Wittick sued for the injury on the excavator, these same problems are coming up, but we are now dealing with children, which is different. So, let us continue. Coffee mouth. Let's see. Plaintiffs were usually charged several $100s per month by defendant Mr. Hill for various editing and cinematography services provided to plaintiffs for use of their creative content on their own respective channels. So they were paying the mom's boyfriend for production support. This is very Team 10, where Team 10 like repped everybody in the house and then took like 10%. Not 5%, not that 5%, 10%. After plaintiffs eventually left the squad, defendants conspired among each other to intentionally interfere with and sabotage plaintiffs' individual YouTube channels by driving subscribers and video views down, thereby significantly diminishing plaintiffs' own revenue through the use of bots, false flagging, reporting on supposed inappropriate content, and through other clandestine means orchestrated on information and belief between defendants and an inside contact at YouTube. Plaintiffs bring this action seeking to hold defendants liable and accountable for their misdeeds and intentional torts as described below. And then they go and describe each of the parties and link their YouTube channels and how many subscribers they have. Sawyer S is 15, Donald is 15, Aiden is 16, Connor is 16, and this is at the time this was filed. Hayden is 14, Walker 15, Sophie is 14, Corrine is 14, Simone is 15, Claire and Reese are 13 and 10 respectively. And those are the cousins. Tiffany Raquel Smith is, at the time this was filed, a 40-year-old mother, producer, and director for Piper Rockelle. And then defendant Hunter Hill, at all relevant times, is frequently and erroneously referred to as Piper Raquelle Smith's quote-unquote brother, but is the 25-year-old live-in boyfriend of defendant Miss Smith and the director, editor, and cinematographer of the content for YouTube. And then they talk about the company being the company this is run through and YouTube being on Google, and then the additional venues and things. We're going to go through some of the general allegations, not all of them, as we talk about this. YouTube, the making of Piper Rockelle and the beginning of the squad. Launched in 2005, YouTube was the brain... I don't know if we need all of how YouTube started. Was the brainchild of 3 former PayPal employees. It seemed that PayPal gave us quite a lot of the tech startup folks. A little over a year after its launch, YouTube was sold to Google for nearly $1.65 billion. By the end of 2022, YouTube pulled in nearly $20 billion in revenue, boasted over 2.3 billion users with over 30 million premium subscribers, and hosts hundreds of channels with millions of subscribers on almost every topic. Yep. From financial investing. Look at how the world comes around today. I didn't even know that was here. Yes, crypto. From financial investing to DIY to kids' toys, i.e., such as the most lucrative YouTube channel, Ryan's World. Chat, who had Ryan's World on their bingo card in this? Who had Ryan's World on their bingo card? Who had Ryan's World? Because that harkens us back to Salt Sea, doesn't it? YouTube allows individuals to create, post, share unique content in the form of videos or live streams, which are then viewed by either members of the general public or by the creator's channel subscribers. The number of views that a video garners and one's channel directly correlates to the amount of revenue that an individual can expect to generate from YouTube from ad placements on sponsorship. Simply put, after YouTube takes its standard 45% cut of advertising revenue on any given video, on any given channel, the individual creator can expect to receive approximately 4.18 per 1K views on any given videos. I challenge. That 4.18 RPM can vary wildly. So they're averaging it. On some channels, that's in the $20. In some channels, that's like $1. So this CPM or RPM, I forget which one is the per thousand. I think it's the CPM. No, the RPM, I think, is what the creator gets. You can tell how much time I spend in my analytics. The YouTube educators will be able to tell you much better than I would, but that varies. That figure varies wildly. Well, the vast majority of content creators on YouTube generate a relatively insignificant amount of ad revenue from YouTube each month. There are some well-known and ubiquitous content creators such as Ryan's World, 29.5 million in 2020, Mr. Beast, 24 million in 2020, who generate tens of millions of dollars annually based on the immense numbers of views their videos receive. And that's they're talking about ad revenue there. That is a drop in the bucket to what those companies ultimately make from merchandise, sponsorship, and other products, especially when you're looking at like a Ryan's World and a Mr. Beast. The way I love talking about YouTube businesses is pretty high, though. When you're looking at a Ryan's World or Mr. Beast, you have, well, for Mr. Beast, you have food and merch and charitable channels and all kinds of channels. For Ryan's World, you have toys and stuff that's sold in Target and like bed sheets and every kind of soft good you can imagine. There is so much Ryan's World stuff. And then there's separate companies and there's apps and games and all of that through Pocket Watch. So this is just talking about YouTube revenue. Drop in the bucket. Below is a graph depicting the top 10 YouTubers based on revenue from 2020. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at who the top 10 is from 2020. Ryan's World #1, Mr. Beast #2. I bet that's changed. Dude Perfect. Let me know if you watch these channels or don't watch these channels. I want to know. Dude Perfect. Rhett and Link at $20 million. Markiplier at 19.5. Preston. Is that Preston Plays? I'm imagining so. Preston at 19 million. Preston is probably the YouTuber that annoys me the least that Griffin watches. Like Nasta, 18.5. Blippy. I see a lot of you talking about Blippy in the chat. I like Rhett and Link too. Blippy, 17 million. David Dobrik, 15.5 million. Jeffree Star, 15 million. This list would be very different in 2023. This list would be very different in 2023, wouldn't it? I'm interested to see what the 2023 list looks like. The prospect of striking it rich on YouTube with YouTube content creation and corresponding viewership spawned an industry of individuals attempting to do just that. As a result, the advent of the YouTube celebrity has become a defining feature of YouTube's populist platform since its inception, making internet stars out of the young and old alike. Oh shit. You guys.
Am I the old? I feel like I might be the old. When they're saying the young and old alike, I feel like maybe I'm the old. Perhaps. I think maybe.
Anyway, making internet stars. I also don't consider myself to be an internet star by any means. Piper Rockelle is one such young YouTube star, a gifted young lady who now boasts a subscriber base of 8.5 million. Again, this is when this was sued. This is now over 10 million. Piper was just 9 years old when she became relatively internet famous overnight. Oh, I forgot. This was in the LA Times did a substantial deep dive expose into this. So did Inside Edition. And I know other YouTube channels have as well. But in the LA Times piece, they were explaining how she rose to fame, and it started on Bitly. So this content creation, it started in pageants. So Piper Rockelle started in pageants, then went to Bitly, then breached over to YouTube and is now on TikTok. Bitly is the predecessor to TikTok. So on November 29th, 2016, Ms. Smith and Mr. Hill posted the first video of now nearly 550 videos that have been uploaded on Piper's YouTube channel. The first video was entitled Piper Rockelle Creates Fluffy Slime, features an affable and enthusiastic preteen Piper demonstrating how to create slime. This seems very time appropriate for 2016, creating a slime video. Seems very appropriate. And then they linked the video. This video, which ran just over 3 minutes in length, was an instant success and ultimately garnered nearly 5 million views on Piper's YouTube channel. Based in large part on the success of Piper's first posted video, Ms. Smith and Mr. Hill encouraged Piper to keep creating more and more content, such as DIY videos, dance videos, and challenge videos, which over the past 5 years have helped Piper acquire a built-in audience of over 8.5, well, now over 10 million subscribers. As viewership and subscribers to Piper's channel began to explode at the end of 2016, she began branching out into the creation of additional unique content and ultimately sought to boost viewership by collaborating with friends. This is exactly what was going on the platform at the time, across all age groups. And we saw the creation of TikTok houses that were doing this too. Lucinda in the chat said, sounds like she mimicked Nickelodeon. I think I think the inspiration is grabbed from like a Nickelodeon or Disney, then bringing in the Vlog Squad and Team 10 of it all. I think it's a mashup between the two. So let's see. So started creating challenge-based video content as a result over the span of 4 years from July 2017 through June 2021. Piper, through the adults, actively collaborated with and featured plaintiffs in hundreds of videos ultimately posted on Piper's YouTube channel. Throughout the period, Ms. Smith and Mr. Hill actively directed, produced, and edited the video content posted to the YouTube channel. As to frequent interactions with Ms. Smith and plaintiffs, and besides developing a reputation as a mean-spirited control freak with them, many of Ms. Smith's interactions with plaintiffs were not only sexually inappropriate and confrontational, but often reprehensible and even illegal. Piper's plaintiff's contributions to the squad. So this starts to go through how many videos each of the plaintiffs collaborated in, ranging from, 18 videos to 106 videos to 81 videos, 72 videos, 186 videos, on and on and on. So that is the amount of videos all told. Plaintiffs appeared in over 550 videos posted. Then it gets into the inappropriate conduct. The plaintiffs alleged that they were frequently subject to an emotionally, physically, and sometimes sexually abusive environment. And then it goes on to detail the inappropriate and unoffensive, or not unoffensive, the inappropriate and offensive treatment that ranged from explicit innuendo to commenting on body parts to grabbing kids and on. There's also an allegation that this individual made out with one of the kids when they were 14. So, this is going through the inappropriate statements and then asking kids to dress explicitly. Ms. Smith would frequently tell plaintiffs, who were typically paired up with one another as pseudo crushes for purposes of video content, very sexually explicit instructions such as how to act with one another, i.e., forcibly grab her and aggressively kiss her, to what to wear, sexually revealing clothing, short skirts, low tops for the girls, tight fitting jeans or sweatpants for the boys to show off their quote unquote bulges, and how to properly date and crush on each other, asking about their genitalia, asking about whether they are engaging in certain very explicit sex acts, talking about whether or not their genitalia was properly sized or undersized, whether the girls' chests were developed or not developed. Let's see. So during a thumbnail photo shoot for a YouTube video, Ms. Smith demanded that plaintiff Sophia take her clothes off and ultimately made it appear that Sophia was fully naked. Smith frequently told male plaintiffs to take their shirts off for photos and videos because, quote unquote, sex sells. Children. She's talking about children. She's talking about children. Children. Who are you selling it to? I'm going to just put this in here. These are allegations, and I am trying to remember that these are allegations. And I have rage. The defendant in this case has vehemently denied this. This will be going to trial, but it is just very thoroughly pled. And so I am very much trying, and it is very difficult for me to keep an open mind. So when you see my rage, I have to also process that and remember that these are allegations and then go from there. So we are going to keep going through this. I've seen a lot of comments in the chat asking about CPS. Apparently CPS has been called and nothing has been found or done. Some of these things don't leave the kind of impression that CPS can perceive and fix. When the parents are the ones exploiting children, it is very difficult to deal with. So you end up with a civil suit, not criminal, though apparently the FBI has been involved in investigating this. I don't think this civil suit is the end of this, right? So let us continue on. We are going to learn more about the parents of these plaintiffs, but I would like you to also keep in mind that when we look at something like the Larry Nassar abuse of U.S. gymnast, some of those parents were in the room when abuse was happening. So when we're looking at this, I just ask you to try to focus on what's being alleged as to what the plaintiff has done, and then we will go through what parents were being told. Because, oh, my kids are going to go make videos. At some point, it's going to start sitting wrong with those parents But then what do you do when your teen is like, you're going to fucking ruin my life if you take me out of these videos? It becomes a very difficult position for the parents of the kids who are in this, if the kids tell their parents what is going on. So this is a very difficult situation, and it's why in Hollywood, parents or a guardian are required to be on set. So all of this is something where I ask you for, like, take a deep breath. We can do hard things, and we're going to navigate this conversation because it's hard. And I am mad. I agree with you that you do it anyway, but I can't tell. I don't know what these parents knew, the plaintiff's parents, and when they knew, and I don't want to shift any of the blame onto the plaintiff parents when what I really want to look at is what's being alleged of the behavior that has been done. So that's what I want to look at with this, because I don't know, and we won't know until this goes to trial, how much the parents of these minors knew of what was going on when they were being filmed, and whether or not when photos were being taken for thumbnails, did the kids tell their parents that they were uncomfortable? Did they tell them what was going on? Because it's very, very difficult to know until we get into it later in the suit, what the parents knew and whether they were allowed to be there. So let's continue on. This is why I have problems. This is the difficulty with kids as content creators. That you're going to get more mad. You're going to get more mad. We're going to get more mad. I'm going to get more mad. You're going to get more mad. We're going to get more mad. For purposes, we talked about the thumbnail photos. For purposes of creating thumbnail photos of Piper's YouTube videos, Ms. Smith would frequently tell plaintiffs, including Piper, to make sexy kissing faces for thumbnails, to push their butts out, suck their stomachs in, wear something sluttier, would otherwise positions plaintiffs' bodies in explicit and sexually suggestive positions. Again, who are you selling this to? On other occasions, when plaintiff Aiden M. asked Smith for a thumbnail for his YouTube channel, Smith told Aiden that she wanted to self-harm, and that when she's laying in a pool of her own blood, he could post her dead body on Instagram. That is so specific. Ms. Smith would often boast to plaintiffs and other kids about being the madam of YouTube, the pimp of YouTube, and joke that she makes kiddie porn. That's in the lawsuit allegation. And again, the defense is saying that they are doing this because they are jealous and are trying to take down the defendant's YouTube channel. Smith would discuss adult toys with plaintiffs. On one occasion during an off-site shoot in Las Vegas, Smith offered hemp brownies to plaintiffs who unwittingly consumed them, and discussed and engaged in the use of recreational drugs with and around plaintiffs and encouraged the same. The rage. The fucking rage. Y'all are voting for DEFCON Red. Yeah, I don't know if there's any higher level of fuckery than this. I'm here for DEFCON Red. All of you are like, can we just take a break? All right. I think I say yes. I say yes, we go to DEFCON Red. So for all of you that are new here, hi. Don't forget to do the YouTube things. We're going to take a break. We're going to go to DEFCON Red so that it can match our faces and our rage. If you are photosensitive, it stops flashing when the music stops. So we're going to go to DEFCON Red in 3, 2, 1. I know. I don't know. I'm so glad I was a teen in the 90s where we were just like, hey, do you like my oversized jeans and flannel and Doc Martens? I'm also glad that most of the things I did as a teen are not captured on camera anywhere. They are captured in the faulty memories of anyone who might tell you about them. There are things that need never be known, right? There are things kids will do as kids that are not to be known for the internet. This kid, where do you go from here? Okay, we're not done. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Oh, so she gave them hemp brownies. Do they mean pot? Like, are we talking THC? I don't know. I'm confused. But this is all very explicit about sexually explicit acts, offering sexual conduct. Let's see. Inappropriate simulation of sexual conduct, inappropriate touching on body parts, finger poking over clothing on body parts. Let's see. On one occasion, Offset. This is where the rage. You're not at the end of the rage. This is where the full rage comes in. On one occasion, Offset plaintiff Corrine accompanied Smith to the local post office where Smith mailed out several of Piper's soiled training bras and panties to an unknown individual. Smith remarked to Corrine that, quote, old men like to smell this stuff. Here's where this lawsuit put me over the edge. It seems to me, based on the allegations, that they are alleging that this individual knows exactly what audience that she is pandering to. And it is not other teenagers who want to know how to make slime or do their hair. The audience that she is pandering to are pedophiles. That is who it's alleged that this conduct is pandering to. And it seems that that is full well known. And this is the concern with kidfluencers. Because there are kids who make content. My kid has watched Ryan toy reviews, and people on the internet will internet. But I would argue that Ryan's toy reviews content is very much made to sell toys to kids, video games to kids. What's being sold here does not seem to be being sold to kids and is not truly intended for kids. Which is why I both didn't want to talk about this lawsuit and also did want to talk about this lawsuit, because it is, again, who steps in when the parent is the one that's accused of exploiting their children. And this is the topic of conversation so much right now from not just Brooke Shields' Pretty Baby, but also from Jeanette McCurdy's book. What do you do when it is the parent that is the problem? So this is not just making David Dobrik-esque content for other teens to watch. I'm sure other teens do watch it. And other teens are like, this is how to be a teen. This is how to be, sexy? But then we've gone beyond to just making content that seems to serve very clearly, is alleged, I shouldn't say very clearly, these are all allegations, is alleged to be serving another audience. And at what point is that content allowed to be on the internet, not allowed to be on the internet? Where does this regulate? Where does this fall? At 9, they're not even supposed to have a YouTube account. But then if the parent starts the account, then what? But then you get a YouTube account like Cracking the Box with Corey, and you see a journey into him and his family's life. And I think that's tremendously valuable content. So just saying no kid should ever have a channel isn't the answer either. And this is the problem, that the conversation is so much more nuanced on how to sort and protect kids well, while also allowing kids to share their stories when they need to be shared. I think Corey's journey with his family should be and needs to be shared. But then again, if you just say, okay, no kids should have content on the internet, that's not the right answer. But then when you allow kids on the internet, where do you stop the exploitation? And this is a conversation that's had around family channels too. How long are kids filming for? Do they even have agency to, they aren't given the right to consent to have things shared? There's family channels that are sharing like my daughter's first menstrual cycle. Why are you putting that on the internet? So when the set is the home, the labor laws don't clearly apply. The laws in Hollywood don't clearly apply. YouTube creators aren't required to be part of SAG-AFTRA. So it is a very difficult area to tackle, but I want to keep having the conversation. It's real easy. And a lot of you have asked me about two of the trials that are going on right now. It's real easy when something's black and white, like the Lori Vallow case. You can look at the Lori Vallow case and the allegations there and go, what the fuck? This case doesn't feel very gray zone for me. These are allegations. This doesn't feel very gray zone for me. But there are going to be gray zones when it comes to, we just vlog everything our family does. Well, at what point does it stop being content? And how much gets shared? So it is difficult. It is difficult to figure out where that boundary is. I'm really protective of my kids. My youngest wants to be on the internet way more than my oldest. I didn't create that in my oldest. He created that himself. My oldest is like seriously a very cynical 65-year-old trapped inside a teen body. And so he doesn't want to play the internet games of people trying to get likes and clicks and views. And he innately just wants to do him. I didn't teach that. I just try to encourage it. My youngest wants to be a YouTuber. He wants people to like him. He wants people to connect with him. He wants to be like what he sees on his YouTube that he loves so much. And we watch a lot of things like Odd Ones Out. And so I just encourage him to keep drawing so that we can draw and draw and draw. So if you want to do storytelling, start practice your storytelling with me. So we have started trying to not put it on the internet, but practice those skills. But he will narrate everything he does. And I just like, keep practicing, buddy. But I don't want to put it on the internet because I know who's looking at a lot of that. And it's not always just other kids. And it concerns me very much for my own kids. And I know it's not just other kids that are watching this kind of stuff. But I also understand wanting a connection and wanting to create community. But I worry most for my kids that their self-esteem will get caught up externally at a time when they're developing. And that I don't want my kids to feel like they need to mold themselves to what the internet finds acceptable today. And that is generally my worry for kids on social media, is how much they try to mold themselves because that external validation feels so good. And I understand it. There's times I put out a video and a lot of you watch it, but when the topic doesn't hit, I don't feel bummed. I'm like, oh, not as many people are interested in that topic. We can switch, because I'm talking about topics. I don't take it as, oh, they don't like me. But when you're the content and it's you doing things, how are they not supposed to take it as, oh, they don't like me? And we saw Emma Chamberlain talk about that. But I also started doing this as a full-ass adult. If I had been doing this as a teen, it would have destroyed me, because I spent a lot of my teen years pre-therapy seeking external validation, because I am very neurodivergent. I never felt like I fit in. And so I kept trying to find, well, if I do this, do I fit in better? If I do this? And I kept trying to change me to fit in. As I grew and went to therapy, I realized that I needed to find my people and figure out myself and maybe not always try to fit in and realize that some people just don't fit together. But when you're growing up online, how do you do that? When you keep trying to fit, and then you try to fit the numbers, because YouTubers of all ages get caught up in the numbers game. YouTube will tell you if your video is a 1 or a 10. It will show you happy little arrows going up if everybody's watching your videos, sad little arrows going down if people aren't. So you can log into your analytics and be like, they love it. Oh, they hate it. I don't know what that would look like if you're a teen. When, getting left out of a party or not invited to something can be devastating. What do you do when that's on such a broad scale that it is your whole identity? And then you add the exploitation on top of it, and it pisses me the fuck off. And that's why we're talking about it today. So, all right, we took a brief break to distance from the horrific and disgusting allegation that, quote, old men like to smell this stuff on the internet. I have just so much concern for these kids. All right. And this is why we're going to start talking about TikTok on Thursday, because I think this spills into trying to ban TikTok, the Protect Act, privacy. I think it spills over. So let us continue on. No, let us not continue on. Here's the last concern I have. No, it's not the last concern I have. Here's one of the other concerns I have. Thank you all for letting me process this out loud with you. We're just going to have a conversation about how do you actually protect children when the parent is the problem. And I think this is pretty unequivocal. I think there's more gray zones in this, but we're not going to get into the gray zones today. I think this one's pretty unequivocal, so it's a good place to start. What happens? Look, we've now seen that the mother and the boyfriend work full-time for this channel. The business is the teen. So now you also have a teen who is financially responsible for the entire family. How do you say stop when you are now the one that is financially supporting everyone? And in the interviews I've seen, I have seen Piper refer to her mom as her best friend. So how do you even stop this train when it's left the station, when you are now the one who is financially supporting everyone? And that is concerning to me too. Again, something that Brooke Shields has talked about in Pretty Baby and Drew Barrymore. Yep, and that Brittany, I see you in the chat. They were just talking about this. And it feels like we've learned nothing. This is a great question. Could the Coogan laws be expanded to help protect best interests of YouTube minor creators? Yes. And for those of you that don't know what the Coogan laws are, it is a law that requires a certain amount of money that is earned by a child to be put aside for that child. But when YouTube pays out the channel, if you're 9, it's not paying the child, it's paying the parent. So yes, I think there needs to be a way that either you can't monetize channels where the child is the face of the channel, but then people will do sponsorships and things like that. But there needs to be a way to expand that. But I don't know how you enforce it, because there are laws in California, and California has some of the strictest laws with regard to child stars, because a lot of movies are made in California. That's where a lot of this is. And it's very hard to enforce them when it comes to YouTube. So yes. Roy in the chat said, wouldn't there be concerns on how to monitor work hours? Yes, because there's no set. This is happening inside a home. So then what? Okay, we're going to get to questions in a minute. We're going to finish this lawsuit and then get to questions. So yes, all of your questions are right. Yes, like Amanda Bynes. Yes. It's a concern. But I feel like it's something that's not new, right? Do we need to maybe pull back up that Romeo and Juliet lawsuit about the exploitation of the actors in the 1970s Romeo and Juliet? Emily, why isn't YouTube taking down the channel? I don't know. Does it make him culpable? Not under Section 230. They demonetized it. And I don't know if YouTube has ever commented on this other than demonetizing it. So let us continue on. You guys have been so graceful, chat. Law nerds, I love you. You've been so graceful in having this conversation around a topic that is enraging. And here's why I appreciate it so much. When we are emotionally invested in something or outraged or what have you, it is hard to then have nuanced conversations. And in the chat, a lot of you are navigating like I'm fucking outraged, but also what are the nuanced answers to this? And being able to do both of those things at once are really difficult. And so I just applaud all of you for like, I am so angry about this, but also let's have a conversation about what this is. It's great. You guys are great. And yes, for those of you mentioning like John and Kate +8 in the chat, this isn't a YouTube specific problem, right? This happens on reality TV. This happens in Hollywood. This happens in modeling. This happens in music. I mean, we saw the hypersexualization of like all the Mickey Mouse Club's kids that grew up. We saw the interviews as everything was going on with Britney Spears, and I started diving back into it and looking at some of the documentaries of people questioning Britney Spears at 13 years old about her virginity. Like, why are you asking her about sex? What the fuck? Ew. Asking her if she has a boyfriend at like 10 years old. Ew. Why? Also, a woman's value is not a man or a partner. Like, let's just value individuals. But that's a whole nother conversation that I could go on forever. But then it is dance moms and pageants and on and on and on. So let's dive back into this as we tackle the problems of the world of hypersexualizing children. Way too young. Way too young. There are plenty of sexy adults. Just let them be sexy. Adults can be sexy. Let adults be sexy. Stop pandering to people who find children attractive. Ugh. I know, and the Drew Barrymore interview with Brooke Shields is so illuminating on this. It really, really is. I haven't watched Pretty Baby yet, but I will. Let's see. Would YouTube have to be the ones creating the bank accounts? No. Generally, there's a Coogan account. And when we talk about this, we see it even with lawyers and the lawyers that we have covered here. They're supposed to be these trust accounts that don't always get done. Or do you have to require the same things you would require in Hollywood, that these are done with guardian ad litem? Maybe. Jen, I just wanted to say thank you for your comment, because it's just such a breath of fresh air and it's so kind. And before we dive back into this lawsuit, thank you. And Jen said, as a 42-year-old woman with Asperger's, what Emily is saying about realizing it's okay to be you and you just need to find your same people is so, so, so true and very wise. Same. Yes. And that's what I love about this community, because they're here. We're here. But I also feel like if we can have these conversations, I feel like one brain can't solve the problems, but lots of brains can start having conversations about this. And it is a precursor to our conversation about regulating things like TikTok, right? And what those regulations look like, and how much regulation is too much regulation, and what is the boundary of that regulation, and where does it stop? Is it just with kids who are performing? And then it gets into a really difficult realm. So that is an interesting thing too. All right, let's keep going. Nim said, I will need to go for a walk later to clear my mind. I'm sorry to put out to all of you difficult conversations to ponder, but I also appreciate you for being able to ponder difficult questions, because it is the way forward, is to have these conversations, because they are not easy and clear cut. You know what? I'm going to tell you a story real quick, and then we're going to get back to this. I got a 1-star review on the podcast that said that I asked too many questions without answers. And it was so funny because I looked at it and I'm like, that's not a 1-star. That's like a 5-star for me. Some of the things we talk about don't have easy answers. But if we don't talk about them, we can't come to answers. So it was very interesting to see that somebody was like, I came here for answers. I'm like, oh, you're maybe not on board with what we do as law nerds, because the questions are a big part of the point. Y'all don't, it's not fighting words. It's just people find you where they find you. And sometimes people want an answer. And if you're coming to this for a black and white answer, you're not going to get it, because most of the things in law don't have a black or white answer. If you want a resolution at the end of the episode, go watch Fixer Upper. You will get a beautiful resolution at the end of an episode. Every episode, it will resolve. Go watch Phineas and Ferb. It will resolve at the end of every single episode. But in real life, it doesn't resolve at the end of an episode. And we're often left with so many questions that we don't have answers to. We have lots and lots of questions. So I wasn't offended by it or annoyed by it. I was like, oh, this is just not for you. So I do lots of thinking. I did mostly thinking this weekend. I had some time to myself this weekend. It was lovely. I made homemade tortillas and was thinking about the problems of the world. All right, let us continue on talking about the problems of the world and the horrific exploitation of children. But I knew we could have this conversation because we have done it around Josh Duggar, and we can continue to do it. Okay. On another occasion on set, plaintiff Sophia S. witnessed Smith, the mother, grab Piper's face and make out with her in an attempt to teach her how to kiss. This is her own child. I just hope everyone gets the therapy that they need to. Yep. On another offset occasion, Miss Smith was at a local Taco Bell. I didn't expect Taco Bell to come up in this conversation, but now I want tacos, because anything is better in my brain than this lawsuit. Was at a local Taco Bell drive-thru with Connor, Mr. Hill, Piper, and other squad members. At the time, she was asked by the drive-thru operator whether she wanted sauce with her order, as they do. Miss Smith responded by aggressively rubbing her breasts for everyone to see and loudly exclaiming, "Yes, Daddy, extra sauce, please." Now again, context matters. This is not the appropriate context for this. If this is the mother's OnlyFans, go ahead and do what you want. But this is not an appropriate workplace. What is Dr. B doing outside my window? He's looking handsome. I got to tell you what, he's out in the yard doing yard things. Smith would frequently spank or slap several of the plaintiff's buttocks in an attempt, and occasionally succeed in probing or sticking their fingers into, oh gosh. Yep. Probing their butts as they passed her on or off set. On another occasion, Smith accessed and showed one of the plaintiffs the pornographic website Pornhub. We got from Taco Bell to Pornhub real quick. On several other occasions, Smith would accuse several male plaintiffs of masturbating on set. Okay. On numerous occasions, Smith would verbally harass, yell, or curse at plaintiffs if she felt they were doing something wrong in the videos, which would oftentimes cause plaintiffs to break down and cry either on set or after they got home to their families. And at that point, I hope that the conversation is, why are you coming home from filming videos crying? That shouldn't be happening. Who is Miss Smith? Miss Smith is the mother of YouTuber Piper Rockelle, who is also the kind of momager behind the channel. Oh yes, I'm my ADHD is like trying to pull the ripcord on this case immediately. For all of you saying, "Ma'am, this is a Taco Bell," exactly, exactly. Brian in the chat, these are civil allegations of there are civil allegations here of sexual battery and sexual assault. Yep. So that is part of this civil lawsuit. What makes me deeply sad about this lawsuit, there's so much that makes me deeply sad about this lawsuit, but one of the things that makes me deeply sad about the lawsuit is that these 11 minors are going to have to go to trial and tell these stories in front of a jury, and I know how hard that will be for them. Then there is a conspire to sabotage plaintiffs' YouTube channels when they leave the squad. On several occasions during and after their time in the squad, plaintiffs and or their guardians learned that defendants were capable of and in fact interfered with plaintiffs and other YouTube channels by engaging in a variety of dirty tactics, such as using bots, paying to quickly add and then remove subscribers from a YouTube channel, which affects YouTube's algorithm. I didn't know that. False flagging content is inappropriate on YouTube, which leads to content being restricted. Embedding plaintiffs' videos into porn sites and working with an inside individual named Alex at YouTube to help restrict plaintiffs' videos. I hope that they are doing all of the things they need to do to figure out who that person is inside of YouTube and deal with it in this lawsuit. All of the discovery, please. Smith frequently instructed Hill to tank plaintiffs and other non-parties' YouTube channels. In fact, on one occasion, Hill admitted to plaintiff Sawyer S.'s mother and guardian that she knew how to tank other people's YouTube channels and in fact had tanked plaintiff Walker B's YouTube channel after he left the squad. In addition, and this is why there's these interference claims as well. In addition, Hill openly bragged about having a contact named Alex at YouTube who would help keep Piper's numbers high by lifting restrictions on content. So it seemed that Piper's content, based on these allegations, was getting restricted and someone was working with them to help lift the restrictions. That is something that YouTube needs to take very seriously, in my opinion. On another occasion in December 2020, Smith told plaintiff's mother that she was angered by all the views on one of Piper's competitors, YouTube teen sensation Liliana Ketchman, Lily K. I don't know who Lily K is, but she was outraged that Lily K was getting views on YouTube. Thereafter, despite the fact that Lily K ran her own highly successful YouTube channel and was never even a member of the squad, Lily K experienced a significant decline in subscribers, video views, and revenue in January 2021 and beyond in comparison with prior months in which she produced and uploaded content to her YouTube channel. On information and beliefs, plaintiffs aver that Ms. Smith and or Mr. Hill were behind the decline of Lily K's subscribers, video views, and revenue. Defendants' interference with the operation of plaintiffs' YouTube channels has caused a significant loss of subscribers and overall general viewership of plaintiffs' YouTube videos. And then they go through the allegations of sabotaging the YouTube channel, the drastic reduction in the YouTube channel, and they attach a whole bunch of receipts on the analytics, which we're going to look at in a minute. The following charts taken from plaintiff Sawyer S.'s respective analytics page on YouTube demonstrates a drastic decline in his YouTube viewership and channel subscribers and revenue after leaving the squad, depicting the number of views from the time during the squad. And that's going to be hard for a jury to wrap their head around with one channel. But if it becomes a pattern of channels, then it's going to be harder, in my opinion, for a jury to just write off as like, oh, well, they left the squad. Maybe people aren't watching it as much. Because that is why people squatted up in 2016, 17, 18. It's like, oh, well, you see a creator and then they collab with another creator and then you go watch that creator. And then once they're kind of out, you lose interest. But when you have multiple channels and you show the same thing, then it becomes a little bit of a pattern. This would be a much harder thing to argue with just one channel. So chart number 1, the number of Sawyer S.'s YouTube views from the time he joins the squad to present. So this is, again, showing analytics. Gosh, the way I love YouTube analytics. This date range is set from January 15th, 2020 to December 8th, 2021. And it shows 130 million views. And then I love how they actually put in when they left and then the videos that were published. What's interesting to me is I don't know if it's the way that they have it viewed is you can't see how many videos were published before, but then they show you how many videos are being published in the months after they left, after the kind of red line of when they left the channel, and you can see the drop off. Again, with one, it's like, well, maybe this, maybe that, but it's going to be a lot harder to argue. And if you're asking if YouTubers make money, this is someone who gained 1.2 million subscribers in that kind of 1 year period. It made over 293,000. That would be on ad revenue, super chats, blah, 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 blah. So when you're looking at the money and how the parents are motivated to do this, there's a huge financial interest at stake here for the parent involved behind these channels, because that in a year is it's a lot of money. So that was Sawyer S's channel. And then we look at the Sawyer gained an average of 80K subscribers each month before leaving the squad. Some of that is going to deal with interest, right? And then they show after leaving the squad, Sawyer gained an average of 3K subscribers each month with several spikes, which caused YouTube algorithm to stop recommending or suggesting his content. I don't know if the spikes did that. I've got some questions, but you definitely see spikes up and down. Spikes like that could also correlate with drama, right? Let's see. These are more analytics. This is Sawyer S's YouTube revenue from the time he joined squad to present, showing that the revenue changed. Well, it's ad correlated. So, revenue from the time he joined the squad to the time he left the squad. So it's showing those revenue spikes and videos published. And then they're going through the analytics. YouTube revenue from the time he left the squad to present. So this is December 8th, 2021 to present when this lawsuit was filed, which is showing over 30,000 subscribers gained. And this was filed, let's see, this is from February 16th to December 8th, 2021. So about $67,000. And then they go through more detailed decline of the YouTube channel because they're alleging that there was interference in the channels. So, this is I agree that this is oversimplified, but it'll be interesting to see how this gets presented at trial down the road. So they say that charts 1 through 6, as set forth above, attached to the complaint as exhibits 1A through 1F, clearly show that almost immediately after leaving the squad in February 2021, plaintiff suffered from a drastic decline in viewership of the content posted on his YouTube channel. The arguendo side of that is, was that interference, or was that teens being like, you're out of the squad? You know, so now I'm like squad loyal, and viewers choosing not to watch, or was it a mash between the two? Let's see. For example, while the squad plaintiffs' YouTube revenue generation averaged nearly $22,000 a month, including over $45,000 during a 5-month period in which Sawyer S was paid his YouTube revenue from another source that he was collaborating with at the time. By comparison, I wonder if he had an MCN. By comparison, plaintiff Sawyer S YouTube revenue generated after leaving the squad has averaged barely $6,000 a month, with the last 4 months averaging barely $3,000 a month, an incredible $366,000 decline. Well, if the views go down, the money is going to go down, but also things change. So this is just talking about revenue from other creators. The correlations are going to be hard here because YouTube is complex and dynamic. And so talking to a jury about that and having experts on both sides, I imagine talking about that can be complex, because you've seen it with other squads on YouTube, right? It's like once somebody's out, is the audience also going to turn their back on them because they're loyal to whatever channel the main squad is on? Did this also happen to people when they left the vlog squad? Did this happen to people when they left Team 10? Is this interference, or is this because you left, the audience has turned and so views are going to go down? And if views go down, then the algorithm isn't going to promote you as high in the algorithm, and on and on and on. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So this is violation of California Civil Code, which is use of likeness. At no time did the plaintiffs, Aiden, Sophia, or Claire, give their permission to defendants to use their names, identities, personas, or any other publicity right in connection with the videos. Do you know what this allegation tells me? That as for at least these 3 of the 11 plaintiffs, there were no contracts. There was nothing signed. And there were no likeness rights given, which means they can probably have all of those videos, if they win, taken down pretty easily. Plaintiffs have never been compensated for the unauthorized commercial use of their publicity rights. As a direct and proximate result from defendants' wrongful acts, plaintiffs have been damaged in the amount not yet fully ascertainable. Second cause of action, violation of common law right of publicity. Plaintiffs Aiden M., Sophia, and Claire. Sophia and Claire being the cousins of the YouTuber Piper. And so let's see, by nature of the meticulous cultivation of the individual brands, plaintiff Aiden M., Sophia F., and Claire E.'s names, identities, and personas have become and are very valuable worldwide and are invested with a substantial goodwill. So this is going through the value that is there to go to count 1. Third cause of action, unjust enrichment. Aiden M., Sophia F., and Claire. So this is the allegation that the defendant is unjustly enriched by the work of the plaintiffs that was never compensated. Fourth cause of action, intentional interference with contractual relations, as to Sawyer, Donald, Aiden, Connor, Hayden, Walker, Sophia, Simone, and Claire E. It's the Aidens and the Haydens, my kids that age too. There are so many Caden, Hayden, Aiden, Braden. There are a whole lot of kids with those names. There are so many. This sounds like my kid's yearbook with the names because he is that age. Plaintiffs allege and incorporate the above. Defendants knew of the relationship between plaintiffs and YouTube. So this is alleging an interference with the YouTube partner program, which is really interesting to me. It's an interesting way to say, hey, you're intentionally interfering with their relationship with the partner program. It's an interesting theory. Defendants knew of the relationship between plaintiffs and YouTube, which included plaintiffs' participation in the partner program and relationships with their YouTube channel subscribers and viewers. On information and belief, defendants in each of them knew that plaintiffs' participation in the partner program, but nevertheless undertook such wrongful actions as alleged in this complaint with the intention of disrupting the performance of that contract and otherwise preventing the performance thereof. That is going to be very, very interesting to see how that plays out, because it's a unique take on intentional interference with contractual relations. Normally, we see this with YouTube in the context of going directly to advertisers, interfering in those types of relationships. We actually saw an argument in the Ethan Klein, Harvey Weinstein, what's his face case, where he was saying, the app dude, Kavanaugh, was saying that Ethan Klein was interfering with contractual relationships with people who were going to download whatever the app was, that it's flipped one, because they were talking about it on their podcast. But the court dismissed it, saying you can't show that these prospective downloaders of the app are your clients. There's no contract yet. Here, there is a contract once you're part of the partner program. So it's interesting to see it argued this way where, hey, if you're trying to tank the channel, are you interfering with their relationship with the partner program? I've not seen this argued this way before, and I'm very interested to see how this plays out. I just wish the case wasn't so dark in the context, so that you could just look at hey, are these people trying to tank each other's channels? This is so much darker than that. It's hard to get super fascinated over interesting arguments of law because the whole thing is so fucked, right? On information and belief, defendants in each of them by their wrongful conduct as set forth intended to disrupt the performance of the YouTube channels. Fifth cause of action, intentional interference with prospective economic advantage as to the plaintiffs. Defendants in each of them knew of the relationship between plaintiffs and the partner program, and then interfering with the partner program and interfering with the money in the partner program. Using software, it'll be interesting to see how they prove this. Using software to repeatedly flag or report the conduct, manipulating YouTube's algorithm, using bots to quickly subscribe and unsubscribe, conspiring with someone inside of YouTube, embedding plaintiffs' videos into porn sites. I don't know how they're going. I'll be fascinated to see what they have to show that. Embedding, using software or virtual assistants from other countries to leave derogatory comments on the YouTube videos and live chats, which negatively affected plaintiffs. Sixth cause of action, civil conspiracy. What is the civil conspiracy that they're alleging? Defendants in each of them are part of the conspiracy agreed upon objective, amongst others, interfering with the plaintiff's economic relationships and prospective relationships, agreed upon the manner in which the objections of the conspiracy were to be achieved, and as co-conspirators, each shared in a general conspiracy objective. So the conspiracy to tank their channels, to decline subscribers on their YouTube channels and interfere with plaintiff's business relations. Seventh cause of action, sexual battery. Sexual battery kind of speaks for itself. It is a unacceptable touching of a sexual nature. We're not going to go through the details of the sexual battery. We've gone through some of them, and then battery as not in a sexual nature, but inappropriate and unwanted touchings and harmful unwanted touchings. Ninth cause of action, intentional infliction of emotional distress. That the conduct was outrageous and extreme, that a reasonable person would not expect to tolerate the harassment, molestation, abuse, verbal and physical, and sometimes sexual, suffered by plaintiffs at the hands of Smith and with her knowledge. So this is only going against the mother. And then the 10th cause of action is violation of California Business and Professions Code, unlawful competition, fraudulent business practice. And then each minor is seeking over $2 million, attorney's fees. Let's see. For compensatory damages, according with proof with prejudgment interest, to the extent allowable by law, and specifically with respect to the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth causes of action, in an amount no less than the collective difference in revenue before and after leaving the squad, believed to be at least $2 million. An award of revenues and profits derived on the defendant's channel, preliminary and permanent injunction for publicity rights from using their rights, names, likenesses, etc. For damages for severe emotional distress, humiliation, grief, nervousness, worry, sadness, anger, frustration, embarrassment, stress, and mental anguish. That's the IIAD. Punitive damages, attorney's fees, and then they asked for a jury trial. The attachments, which are pages 40 to 147, are all YouTube analytics. So the rest of this complaint is comprised of YouTube analytics. And with that, I have talked for quite a while. I'm going to go to questions as we continue to wrap this case up, but this case raises a lot of difficult questions about what is the right way to protect children from being exploited for financial gain, not just in the influencer space. That's just the new space, because this has been going on with child actors, models, musicians for quite a long time. I don't want to put a date on it because I will inevitably and invariably get it wrong, but this is not a new problem. It's just a new form. And how do we extend the protections that exist to this platform? Are those protections enough? Are those protections enforceable when the film set is the home, right? This going on a film set today, and again, with Jeanette McCurdy's book, we saw what was going on when she was working on Nickelodeon shows. This going on a film set today should not be tolerated. and it's much easier to hold people accountable because there is a chain of custody where you, or not a chain of custody, a chain of authority where you know who's being held accountable. But it was still going on, um, even with all those protections at place. So how do you protect children from those who would exploit them? That is the bigger question here. And what are the beginnings of those boundaries? And is looking at something like banning TikTok to protect kids actually how we protect kids? And are kids being exploited to by their parents, and kids on social media one of the really difficult things facing kids today, because it's so much easier. Breaking into Hollywood is a much more difficult path than breaking onto social media. You get a camera in your house and you can start putting up videos. Whether they will hit or not is a whole different thing. But the barrier to entry is lower. So the amount of kids and teens who can be exploited in this way is much more vast. And it really does make me very, very sad. The allegations here are horrible. And it's a problem that we have to look at, and have to talk about how kids get protected. And what do we do when the protections that are put there fail? And is the money component the thing that promotes all of this to happen? So then is one of the big questions we need to have is, should you be able to monetize content with children in it? Is that the solution? If you take the money away, does it start to remove some of the impetus to do this? Does it remove the desire to do this? Or does it not? And that's where we kind of leave this one for today on a lot of questions that are needed to have, but is pulling in the regulations from Hollywood the beginning of it? I don't know. It makes me so deeply sad when you see any instance where kids, the people that are supposed to protect them the most, are failing them, because I've seen the outcome of that. Working in juvenile court did a lot to me, but working in juvenile court when parents weren't protecting their kids, you saw how badly that can go for the kids and how difficult that walk is. And no amount of money overcomes that. And we've learned that from the child stars in the years past, that it doesn't matter how much money or fame that they make. It doesn't fix what gets broken when the people that you trust to take care of you don't. Everyone deserves that. Everyone deserves to be protected from the people that are supposed to protect them and too often aren't. And this doesn't just happen to kids that are, famous or influencers. This happens. And I don't know how to fix the people who are doing that. Where is the boundary, and how do we fix it? I don't know. So with all of that, thank you for having a conversation. I think when we're talking about protecting kids on social media, we also have to have conversations about the adults that would exploit kids on social media. And conversations about protecting children can get so polarized. Thank you for not doing that here. I don't think people should use protecting children as a polarizing topic, but it happens. I want to acknowledge that it happens. It's not going to happen here. It really is a conversation about what's the best way to not just disincentivize this, but if you disincentivize it, is that one of the first steps? I want to know what you think about it. Thank you for letting me know in the comments. Before we do a pickle cleanse and move on, well, actually, let's swoop. We're going to get to questions because fuck, we all need to just move on. With all of that, we have new podcast episodes coming. The members know what's coming on the podcast. Y'all don't yet, but you're not going to want to miss tomorrow's podcast. So if you are not already signed up on the Law Nerd Alert to be one of the first people to get access to tomorrow's exclusive, you want to be on lawnerdalert.com. It is my free email. I also just need to woosah with all of this, because as we move into the rest of the week, we are going to be talking more about social media and what it means. I think we all need to be part of this discussion. And I don't think the discussion is as easy as they shouldn't ban TikTok, they should ban TikTok. I think it's deeper than that. And this is the place to have nuance, because you can't have a nuanced discussion in 120 characters or a 60-second video, but we can have nuanced discussions here. And then on Friday, I'm going to stream, chat. We are going to do a Food Court Friday, and we will work on naming the pickle on Food Court Friday. All right? Food Court Friday is the time to name the pickle. So we will work on naming the pickle on Food Court Friday. We will get back into Food Court on Friday. We're going to fucking need it at the end of this week. So Friday, we are doing a full-ass Food Court Friday, and I am so excited. Tomorrow, exclusive podcast episode is dropping you're not going to want to miss. Also, Emily being competitive wants to continue to break our new category for the podcast. We moved it into TV and film. We might move it to society and culture later. We don't know. We're seeing how it goes. We're going to just try to top each category. No, kidding. It needed to move out of news. So I'm happy that we did that. So tomorrow's podcast, I'm ready. If you have not listened to Quick Bits yet, that is available on my Quick Bits channel. This week's Quick Bits is going to be hard, because it's going to be like, literally this week's Quick Bits should be titled From Taco Bell to Pornhub, but the algorithm would fucking kill me with that, because we're going to talk about Food Court. Probably not Taco Bell. God, no, I want Taco Bell. But we're going to be talking about Food Court, and we've talked about this. It's like, geez, how did we end up here? So don't worry. The pickle is going to get named. I see the questions in the chat. I've seen a lot of these questions. Julia Otto, how is this not criminal? There are behaviors alleged here that could be criminal. The process to criminally pursue this can be difficult. I don't know if that's the direction that all of the minors involved here wanted to go in. I don't know if that is something that is still on the table. Some of these things have not reached statute of limitations based on these allegations. So is that something that could happen? Yes. Is that what these minors might want to do? No. The criminal process can be even more difficult than the civil process. We will see what happens. But that is, could it be? Yes. Why is it? I don't know. So would I love some illumination on that down the road? Maybe. But there is quite a lot of conversation. Holy shit. Don't be front and son, no seeds on the bun. Be up in this drive-through, order for two. Look, Grenade of Mocha, it's really good to see you in the chat. Hello, friend. We're talking about awful things that could be criminal. You're welcome to weigh in on why these inappropriate things are not criminal. So the chat is now in love with Ryan. It's so good to see you in the chat, friend. Hi. Oh, I was talking to Judge Abby on the phone this morning. So when I talk to Judge Abby on the phone this afternoon, we will Big Mac rap again. So chat, could this be criminal? There are things in here. Have all the investigative reports on this said that the FBI has looked into this? Yes. So with all of this, why this has not gone criminal, it can. I think we're still within that statute of limitations. Did this go civil first because there are some substantial losses here? Possibly. But also trying to bring these things criminally can be difficult. So can these kids bring their own suits when they turn 18? Not for this behavior, because this behavior has been covered. Could they bring their own suits for other behavior if more happens? Yes, but they're bringing them now with guardian ad litems. They can't bring the same suits later. We'll see what happens with criminal. That's a whole process out of their hands. And for some, taking the wheel and being a little bit more in control by being the plaintiff might feel more supportive for them. So that might be a part of the decision. I don't know. But when this is done, would I love to have a conversation with any of the plaintiff's attorneys? Absolutely. But that would happen well after this is done. But we're seeing this is, I think, the second or third lawsuit we've covered from the Dillon Law Group. And every time their complaints have been really, really well written and easy to follow. So I always appreciate covering their suits because their suits are easy to follow, isn't it? So with that, we're going to get to some more questions. I know we have a bunch of super chats to get to. Criminal investigations do take a long time. T6 Beat said, so none of these kids got paid. That's the allegation here, that these kids did not get paid. And to some of these kids, it seemed like they didn't even have an agreement signed. Leanne G asked a great question in the chat. Is this channel still active? Yes. Not monetized, but still active. So, Sis said, would a DA ever pick up a case from civil court? They can't do that. So that's kind of an impermeable barrier. There can be two separate things going on, but for this case to wind through the criminal courts, there would need to be a criminal investigation. That criminal investigation would need to be presented to the district attorney's office for filing. At present, the district attorney's office has disbanded a lot of their units that focused on sexual assault. That the LA County District Attorney's Office, that's where this case would be. So getting this through the system could take time, but it would need to be investigated first and then taken to the criminal or the district attorney's office. However, there's also the federal attorney general's office, and that investigation goes through different investigative agencies and then brought by the attorney general's office. That could happen too. So I don't know if it would. It looks like all of these kids lived in California during this time and they weren't crossing state lines, but you never know. You never know if some of the kids moved to LA to do these collaborations and stuff. I think you could have an argument that maybe the feds could get involved. This doesn't seem like the kind of case they normally do. But we will see. Brielle said, why sue civilly when criminals on the table? Or why sue civilly when criminals should be on the table? It doesn't take criminal off the table. It starts the process, and I think it gives the minors a bit more control. It gives their parents a bit more control, and it allows them to take the reins of their own story and to say, this isn't okay, and we are not going to allow this to slide. So whatever the criminal investigators would do, whatever is decided by an office somewhere else, we are taking control of this and putting our foot down. This is enough. And so it gives them a bit more control than waiting to see if a criminal case will be pursued and when. So that's part of it. And civil doesn't take criminal off the table. It can raise questions for a jury like, oh, aren't you just doing this for money? And that's something that a jury has to reckon with. Well, are you bringing this for money? I think when you do the civil case first and then the criminal case after, it doesn't feel like you are using the criminal case to try to get money. So Susan said in the chat, criminal court regarding SA is intimidating. It is, and it is imperfect. So they did go to Vegas. So, and Rebecca, from the investigative reporting that I have seen, the FBI has been involved in this. Christina Nash had question, do we know that the parents haven't gone to the police? We do not know that. We do not know that. And in fact, I imagine that they have in some regard, but we do not know that for sure. Question, I am currently specializing in becoming a child and adolescent forensic psychologist and victimologist. Any tips on working in juvenile? Have a lot of support for you. That is my number one tip of working in juvenile. Have a lot of support for you. And also, if you are studying it, going into it, you know some of the unthinkable things people do. But when you work in the unthinkable, like the most unthinkable, have a lot of support for you. And don't be afraid to be human. So let's see. Question, are you streaming on Thursday? I am streaming on Thursday. We will be talking more about social media and then whatever else comes up. We have a lot of cases to catch up on. So we will be talking some about TikTok and the TikTok bans and some others. Nicole said her merch is called Baby, which feels even more icky with all that's going on. Yeah. Do we have an update on Miss Spears? I don't yet, but I need to. It's been a while. Question, does EDB say isn't it that way because of the movie It Takes Two with Mary? No, I haven't seen that movie, but maybe I need to. Question, off topic, are you going to look at the Dominion Fox defamation case. We haven't had a defamation case in like 2 weeks. Crystal, I am considering it. I'm not going to cover the trial, but there are some really interesting legal rulings that happened in the Fox Dominion case. The problem is when we're talking about the election and voting systems, it can devolve really quickly, not with this audience, with the audience that comes to look at that topic. So I have not decided yet. But there are some interesting legal rulings. So if I do, I will cover the legal rulings that happened in the defamation case and probably not much more, because the legal rulings have taken some things out of the consideration of the jury. And I think that could be very interesting to cover. So it's hard though, because even though it's a defamation case, it's really hard to extract that one from personal feelings about the election, about Fox News, and about the rest of it. So I have not decided. I have not decided. We will see. We will see. But if I do, it will be for the legal rulings. I'm not going to cover the day in, day out of that trial. All right, let's get to some of our super chats and questions. Elena said, I'm listening from work. The doctor got on to me, so I'm drinking water. Good job. Hydration is key. KB said, an extension is to file, not an extension to pay. Please, EDB, spread the word from a tax professional. Yes, you need to still pay your taxes or what you think you owe, even when you get an extension. That's very true. JP said, I'm so glad you're covering the Rockelle case. I suggested this to you back when it was first filed. I can't wait to hear your take on this. And when this was first filed, we were deep into a whole bunch of other content. So as the media picked it up, because I think a lot of them thought it was going to trial on Monday instead of going to trial in November, it was a good time to kind of have a conversation about this. And I will continue following it as it goes to trial, because it's really interesting. Aaron said, thanks for streaming today. It's my son's first day at daycare, so this is a nice distraction. That's a hard day for you and probably a really good day for your kiddo. Take a deep breath. It's more traumatic for you than it is for them. My kids loved being at daycare. I cried when I dropped them off. Have Bob Costa interview him in cahoots. I think that's referring to the SBF FTX stuff, and I'm sorry that I missed it. Beth Aviv said, birthday girl here, 37 years and counting. Nice surprise to have a stream today. There's always a stream on Tuesday, but happy birthday. It shouldn't feel like a surprise. We stream on Tuesdays. Happy birthday. So this is how they beat Shaq. Apparently, this is how they wore him down. Shaq has been doing EDM festivals like Lost Lands. He's so good. I love this so much. I love the Shaq as a DJ. I need to go find stuff on YouTube. This is what YouTube is for. This is what YouTube is for. I saw Shaq DJ on New Year's Eve 2018, I think. Love it for him. I love it for him too. Shaq is also rebuilding a donut shop that burned down in Atlanta. I'm going to have to figure out which one and check it out next time I'm in Atlanta when it's open. Sheila said, if I'm not mistaken, he owns a piece of Carnival Cruise and the General Insurance. I love how much Shaq has done with diversifying his income. Jay Michael said it's about 4 hours from Peter and us. Okay, I will see if anyone else is in Miami for Thursday. Heather said, question, if he didn't promote this, can he be prosecuted? Can he countersue for defamation? I'm not sure if we're talking about Shaq or if we're talking about BitBoy Crypto. I apologize. I think we're talking about BitBoy Crypto. With regard to BitBoy Crypto, we're not in the world of prosecution with any of the influencers or celebrities that were spokespersons for FTX. So could he countersue for defamation? I don't know if there's anything I've seen that's defamatory. And if the lawsuit is the defamation, that's protected by litigation privilege. So if somebody says something about you in a lawsuit, you can't countersue them for defamation for what they said in the lawsuit or in court. That's generally a privileged statement because of litigation privilege. So that's not going to count as defamation. So with all of that, if I were BitBoy Crypto's attorney and I looked at this, I would be like, oh, this needs a motion to dismiss. Or do they even have jurisdiction over you? We need to argue jurisdiction. There are some pretrial arguments that I would make. It is very frustrating. And then given the jurisdiction, if the jurisdiction is allowed, and we've seen this argued in Markle v. Markle, I might then look for whether or not I could get attorney's fees for the filing of it, saying you didn't even have a reasonable belief that this person was involved, and fight for legal fees. But you have to pay to fight for all of that, which is a difficult thing when anyone can sue anyone for anything. Whit said, just did a session with higher ed colleagues on digital wellness. Trends are wild. Educate and protect yourself and your kiddos. Even for me, like, I am a full ass adult. I don't always feel like one, but I am old. So I feel like I've matured to an age where I should be beyond this. But there are times that social media is too much for me and I take a break. I was off social media most of the weekend, except for a few conversations like with friends and DMs. I take breaks. But also the addictive nature of social media is difficult, and teaching kids how to deal with that is hard. But also, feeling connected and wanting to feel digitally connected is a need. And then the fear of missing out if everybody's on social and having this conversation on social and you don't know, there's so much that goes into it. But yes, the trends are wild. The latest study that I saw, part of it went into the fact that YouTube was one of the better platforms for mental health and well-being. So that is what that is. Wedge, I love your screen name so much. How long has your channel been active? If it's been active for more than 3 years, isn't it illegal for anyone under 13 to be active on social media? Not illegal. There are protections under the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act that does not so much apply when the children is the creator. It really is meant to stop platforms from collecting information of kids under 13. But then when you start having the child as the creator, some of those provisions in the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act don't really extend. So this channel has been active, the chat is saying 5 years, but the parent can start the channel and then the children is on the channel. So it's not really the child's channel. There's a lot of ways around that. So isn't it illegal, like criminally illegal? No. Does it violate COPA? Not necessarily. Is it a difficult area? Yes. Question, was this available on YouTube Kids? I have no idea if Piper Rockelle's videos are on YouTube Kids. And I don't know if things have been changed. Like, I don't know if that content was identified as made for kids. Let me just look real quick. Let's see. I don't know if this content was ever identified as made for kids or not. Let me see. I don't know if I can see. Let's see. Where are the tags? I'm not seeing any of the tags on this. I wonder if I'm signed out of my vidIQ. I don't see any of the tags on this. I don't know. I imagine it's not tagged as made for kids, but because of all the comments and then because of the fact that this premiered. So to allow those comment sections and stuff, this can't be made for kids, but I imagine it's just flagged as entertainment. Let's see. So that's where it looks like it lives. So not made for kids. So it shouldn't be showing up on YouTube Kids. That doesn't mean it never has. Thank you for telling us this. It's really difficult stuff to talk about, but I think it's really needed conversations to have. And again, Pink called this out. I don't remember where the reporting was on it, but Pink called this out in 2021. It was like, how many kids are getting exploited by their parents like this? And it's a valid question. So, Sammy is random. Why initial kids, but put the parents' full name? Because the kids are minors and the parents are not minors. So it is, the kids are suing, and they are minors. So they are allowed to sue as minors with guardian ad litem. So they're allowed to use their first name, last initial. But then in the lawsuit, they go ahead and link all their YouTube channels. So they're not really anonymous. JP said mom's boyfriend is 25 when this was filed, but was encouraging Piper to do stuff in 2015, 2016. How old was he when he started dating mom? I have questions about that as well, because the mom is 40, the boyfriend is 25. So, and this channel was up for what, 5 years? So the boyfriend would have been 20. It seems like. Even if parents weren't allowed on set, surely they saw the videos. How did they not throw fits about the content? I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know if we have tons of interviews with the parents. I know Inside Edition did a pretty big um, conversation on it. And I have a question about that too. It's again, as I mentioned earlier, it's really hard to know what these parents were told, what they thought. I don't know. I hope that we hear more from them after this lawsuit. Franny said, I was a teen in the early 2000s and all my bad activities are mostly caught on grainy flip phone cameras or memory. Yep. And that's as teens should look, teens aside, and this stuff aside, teens should be allowed to live and grow and make mistakes that aren't captured on the internet forever. They need to learn how to make good decisions and bad decisions. And they need to, if they say something that's out of pocket, their friends and peer groups all go, whoa, that's fucking out of pocket, blah, 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 blah. And they need to start to learn and grow that way. They don't need it, in my opinion, to be on Twitter where when they're 30, somebody comes back and is like, but you said this shit when you were a teen. When everything's captured on the internet, it makes it difficult for them to make the mistakes that they need to make to learn and grow. And it is so difficult. Daily Dose of Dana, absolutely email me. I would love to have a chat. We should talk. I'm a former casting director for kids and work with a lot of these kids, including one who is suing Piper. I would love to have a conversation. I imagine it is difficult and necessary work because there's a lot of sensitivity to it. And I would love to have a conversation about the rules in place in showbiz greater. We talked about this again when I talked to Scott White. So email me for sure. When I talked to Scott White and we were talking about SAG-AFTRA expanding into influencers and what that meant and what protections are available on set, but there's no real incentive to force influencers to be part of SAG because they're not going to not be in a YouTube video if they're not a member of SAG. They're not going to, there's no consequence for them if they're not. And there seems to be little upside for them to just pay union dues, but not really reap any of the benefits because they are operating in the online space. Nicole said, thank you for covering this topic with such grace. I don't know if I did cover it with grace. I tried. And I always try, and I will always try. I will not always be perfect at it, but I will always try. So LJ said, make an age restriction for social media. We survive without social media as kids, and our kids can too. Make the excuses. What will my kids watch? I simply don't care. It does more harm than good. They will definitely find other things to do. We all did. We all found other things to do. As a human with degrees in sociology and political science, have lots of questions is basically my whole personality. I have found my people here. Yes, we have lots of questions. But when you ask better questions, you get better answers. And asking questions about what incentivizes this, how to disincentivize it, where is the platform responsibility in this? How do you deal with parents who are doing things that are exploitative? Who gets to decide and define what is exploitative? This isn't a gray zone case, right? But is it this? And I'm not saying that it is, but it's who gets to decide. And those are conversations we need to have too. Who gets to decide where the boundaries are of problems? Not all child acting is going to be exploitation, or is it? And where do we have conversations about that? And at what age? But also we can't just, or can we just not have kids on film at all? That seems like a really hard shift one direction. So where are the boundaries of responsibility and sensible and responsible content creation and sensible and responsible kids as performers? And, kids perform not just in movies and film, but as singers and on Broadway and as musicians. And where are the boundaries of all of that? Because when you just take kids off of social media, you lose a lot and can lose a lot. And is that okay? Is that not okay? And that's kind of what we're navigating in having these conversations, because we're just at the beginning of these conversations. Thank you for raising this topic. Needs thought. I think so too, but I think more brains are better. And so we have lots of brains here and we get to have those conversations. And I really appreciate it. So with all of that, ma'am, this is a Taco Bell, not Taco Smell. It's like, ma'am, can you imagine the poor person that worked at Taco Bell that had to be subject to somebody just being like, yes, daddy. Like, leave the employees at Taco Bell alone. This is a whole nother conversation about people getting out of hand with people who work in the service industry. Anytime you work with the public, people get out of hand. But like, come on, just come on. It's not funny. They're not amused. They're at work. Leave them be. Don't harass the Taco Bell employees. I'm so sad for these kids. I'm heartbroken for Piper and the way she was forsaken by her mother. It is a heartbreaking case for all of the kids involved. Why not criminal? I want to barf. A lot of this makes me want to barf as well. I think we talked pretty thoroughly about why, where those boundaries may be. Question, can a civil court judge see this and say those are criminal allegations and have it investigated by the police? Yes, Marissa, and we saw that very clearly in the Gerardi case where the civil judge looked at what Edelson PC was saying and referred it for investigation. That can absolutely happen, and that did happen in the Lion Air case with Edelson PC. So yes, it can. We'll see. Frankie's mommy said taxes got extended in California due to floods and such. I did not know that, but yay for the Californians. Stacy said hard to even mention, but the decrease in viewers may have to do with who the audience really is. Pedos don't want to watch kids doing kid things. They want to watch what the group does. It's an awful possibility. Stacy, this is where the conversation it is. It is an awful possibility, but it is also a real possibility. And there's more information in the analytics that would need to be known. And those allegations are a little bit more difficult because there are potentially lots of factors. I'm very interested in the digital evidence that will be presented at trial. And when this goes to trial, I hope the court watchers cover it because it's Los Angeles and it will not be broadcast. So I'm very interested to see what happens when this does go to trial. It is going to be difficult and heartbreaking, but also it could be very illuminating, and it shines a light on really the darker side of the internet, the darker side of having kids in content, and even content that is meant to be, not this content, but even content that's meant to be truly family-friendly content can be used like this in the gray and dark web spaces. So even like, oh, my baby's doing tummy time, or oh, learning to walk and taking first steps, even content that is not expressly sexualized the way this content is, can be used on the gray and dark web for those things. And that is also tremendously disturbing. Whenever images of kids are put out on the internet, they can be used for nefarious purpose, even if they're not created that way. It is so much more disturbing when you're looking at it going, is this content created that way? And is that the point? And that concerns me deeply. So I'm like back to when my kids do something, I just text pictures of it to our friends. Like they're not really, my kids pop in and out of videos, mostly members only. They'll pop in and out and say hello at their own discretion. But I'm also not the kind of channel that people are going to come and scrub through to look for kids. So but it raises questions about family channels. But then again, where are the boundaries? Where are the boundaries? Where are the boundaries of schooling? There's also disturbing allegations about schooling here and about how long it has been since Piper Rockelle has had schooling. And then those allegations are denied as well. Are they actually homeschooling? How many hours are they homeschooling? That's not really being looked at the way it would be on traditional film sets where the time is set to be done. How much control do parents have over their own kids' schooling? Does that extend beyond kids who are performers? There's like one question spawns questions on questions on questions. And that's why these things become hard to regulate, because you also don't have unintended consequences of overregulation. But right now there's clearly, for me, under-regulation, or we need to take the regulations that currently exist and expand those definitions to cover not just traditional sets, but also content creation online. And then where do we go from there? And do those need to be looked at? But there are boundaries already that exist that aren't being applied in this context. Do they just need to be applied in this context? So Let's see. Debbie Joe, this is true. You aren't that kind of channel. And according to some child that shall not remain nameless, you are not even a real YouTuber. I am not a real YouTuber because I do not have 1 million subscribers. Just ask my children. Look, man, kids keep you humble, which is delightful. And it's one of those things that is really hard to look at this because when it's your kids, you look at your kids and you're like, how are people different than me making different choices than I am when it comes to your kids? I don't know. I also don't have daughters. And I also, there's the boundaries again about sexualizing kids, and are kids being sexualized by the parent? Are they being sexualized by the outside audience? Kids are allowed to wear what they want to wear and express themselves and have fun. And I don't want to put the responsibility of the creeps in the world that would make something that's not sexual onto teens. It's not on them. I don't want to regulate their bodies and their clothes, and I don't want a teen girl to be told just because she has a chest that she's dressing too sexy. All of that is just absolute bullshit. But my problem when we deal with this lawsuit is that the lean in is the no, we're going to make this sexier to sell it. No, wear something sluttier. No, wear something tighter. It's the leaning in. This isn't a kid in a tank top being told that you can't wear that. This is so much more nefarious than that. So there are lots of conversations to be had around that too, because young girls are told that their bodies are too sexy, even if they're in a t-shirt, because those are their bodies. And that's a bigger societal issue that I definitely am not the right person to address, because I don't have all of the context I would need to address it well, I don't think. But that's a problem too. And so again, adults putting that on kids is very different than this circumstance. This is a circumstance where it is being strategized, where that is what they are that is not a byproduct of like kids existing in their bodies. This is intentional. This is strategized. This is marketed, right? This is very different than people existing in their bodies and being told that their bodies are too sexy because they're a body. This is not that. And so there are very two different parts of context here. And we see that when we went and pulled up the channels and looked at the channel thumbnails. A kid going to school in a shirt and being told that their body is too body is different than a kid in a push-up bra posing on the internet for a thumbnail photo. Those are two very different things. And it's a difficult conversation, and these are difficult things to navigate. So, Luna Del Tuna, exactly. And that's again, bodies are bodies. This is marketing. So there are, again, two different conversations to be had here, which is why it's difficult to have any of these conversations, because then there are so many conversations that get left out. And it's not that I'm intentionally leaving them out. It's that we're trying to focus in on just the one. And the one that really is a conversation right now on kids and social media, and where are the boundaries of kids and social media and kids that are content creators, and how does it impact them? And I know that not all of you want to go watch like the D'Amelio show on Hulu or wherever it was put out. But one of the things I watch, because I'm very interested in social media, one of the things that I found very interesting in that show was how much both girls struggled with negative comments and hate and the downsides of social media. And it was interesting to see them grappling with almost like, I just want to quit. But then I wonder how much in the background it's like, but you're too big to quit now. Like, you're a whole ass business with merch and tour and books and products and sponsorships, and you're now supporting yourself and your family. And like, when do you become too big as a brand to take time to be a kid or a human And where is that boundary? You know who I want to hear from on all of this too is like JoJo Siwa. Like I want JoJo Siwa had been on Dance Moms, seems to have navigated life in the spotlight well. I have so many questions. Like does JoJo Siwa have a podcast? Like I want to know about JoJo's thoughts on things like this because they've been in it. And I want to, those who have grown up in this, I want to know their thoughts on their protection more than mine because I come at it from a criminal prosecutor side. But I would love to hear from, Drew Barrymore more, from Brooke Shields more on how do you protect kids from this, on Jeanette McCurdy more. I want to hear from them more, those who have been on it. And I will be looking for that and for those thoughts because there are lots of discussions still to be had. I think maybe the first step is to expand some of these definitions to encompass online content creation. But I think that's true not just for minors. I think that's true for content like David Dobrik's. Because David Dobrik also had some of these massive issues with not being regulated the way a movie set would be regulated and needing to. Ula, I think that's a great conversation. I love Cyber Frida. I actually know Cyber Frida, and I think that's a great recommendation. Because she does talk a ton and has a channel here on YouTube and does a lot of content about protecting kids online, different than maybe kids as content creators, but analogous and alongside. All right. With all of that, we just ask JoJo. I mean, I can always ask. I can always ask. So with all of this, there's a lot of questions here, and we're going to keep navigating these topics because we're all trying to figure out what social media means and the impacts that it has and where we navigate that. So with all of it, I appreciate you for being law nerds. I'm very proud of you for having nuanced conversations with me today on very difficult things and on really disturbing topics that I'm sure all of us would prefer not to think about the way kids are exploited, particularly by their own parents, because it's heartbreaking. It really is. But we've talked about it from Britney Spears to now YouTubers, and we're going to continue. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being law nerds. Thank you for being part of very important conversations as we get to really decide the kind of world that we want to live in and where acceptable boundaries are, and where sometimes when kids are under 18, you have to stand up and be a parent and say, no, this is unacceptable and this is not what we're doing, and supporting one another in that, because it can be difficult and it feels like in a constantly changing environment, you never know what the right choice is. So with all of that, law nerds, thank you.
We're gonna pickle it out. I appreciate you. Oh, you guys, wait for a second. Did Rob tell you why his pickle's so pale? Because I got a text about why Rob's pickle is so pale. Did Rob tell all of you why his pickle was so pale? Tell me when we do a pickle cleanse in the chat. I don't know if he shared that or not. If this is, I don't know if this is on the DL information. I don't want to spill the beans, but maybe I will. Okay, let's talk about it. Runkle said it yesterday. Okay, good.
I'm not the one spilling the beans if Runkle spilled the beans. Rob's pickle glows in the dark. Yep. Rob's pickle glows in the dark. It glows. So his pale pickle is actually a glowing pickle. It's a super powered pickle. Did Rob needs to share a picture of the glowing pickle on social media if he hasn't. But yes, Rob's pickle glows in the dark. So with all of that, law nerds, thank you for being here. Thank you to the moderators. And we will see you tomorrow for an extra special Emily Show podcast. Don't forget to get that downloading. You're going to want to be one of the first to hear tomorrow's podcast. Sign up. You know where to find me at lawnerdalert.com. I will be back streaming on Thursday On Friday, we will do a very fun food court Friday because we are all going to need some fucking food court by the time we get to the end of this week, won't we? Cheers, Law Nerds. Thank you. I did that badly. You can find all the Law Nerd goodies at lawnerdshop.com. Connect with me on social media at the Emily D. Baker. And don't forget to check out my podcasts, The Emily Show, and the new podcast, Quick Bits, summarizing everything I talk about on my Tuesday and Thursday live streams. You know, when you only have time for just the quick bits.